I stopped that video at the least point where you think that I would do that.
We're
It kind
live.
it builds, and you're like, now we end it, we start the show. But no, I let it go a little
Surprise
bit
us
further.
all.
You blue balled everyone.
It's when you least suspect it. And every time I hear that, it makes me think of that time that Jake played, like, it's the funeral song, and then we all had never heard more than 30 seconds of that song in our lives.
It's played all the way through every time it's been played, though. That's the thing. So it has built, but yeah, like, it fades to gray over the course of the whole video.
It's the greatest thing I've ever heard. I keep forgetting to listen to it while I work.
Noel's like, I can't wait till my own funeral so I can hear it again.
Yeah.
We're back.
Everyone?
We're back. We skipped a week. I hope people don't mind that we weren't here. But yeah, we're here right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Creative Block.
Yes. And we skipped last week because of the convention. So we should talk a little bit about that.
That you didn't go to.
I didn't have FOMO too bad, though, because I didn't see that many tweets. Like, I feel like if I would have seen more tweets, I would have got more FOMO. But
because we were having fun in real life, not on Twitter, which is great. It's really
I posted a bunch on my Instagram, so my Instagram story was lit. So follow me on Instagram. It's not Zade Comics. It's Phil Pops.
I posted nothing nowhere because I've been having a whole America trip.
Oh my God.
A holiday at a convention. So
I posted some photos like just now on Instagram. But yeah, it was good. I think sales were okay, but it was really good. Also, I sound like a 80-year-old smoker because I'm sick. Sorry. Concrete.
Oh,
no. Thanks for coughing into the mic.
I don't know how to mute.
Jake wants to be like, I'm sick too.
I'll mute.
It was gross. At least mute your mic. But oh my God. So yeah, it was really good for meeting people and networking. Like everyone was there. It was Bisley, Durango, Shooter, all the iconic guys and all the the essential sequential guys were there.
Eric Canetti.
I got to meet Jonathan Bayshak. Canetti was there. Yep. The Q-Birds were there. Oh, I met Wendy Peeney at the very end. I didn't even know she was there. Wendy Peeney, the creator of ElfQuest.
Oh yeah. She used to wear like those Red Sonja costumes back in the day. Hey now.
Yeah, and she drew. She was like basically the pioneer of anime influenced fantasy that American comics people didn't like. But it's awesome. So yeah, I got to meet her.
You got a whole ElfQuest book too. Was it like a making of, like a behind the scenes ElfQuest thing, or a retrospective?
It was kind of like both. It's like an art book and retrospective. So
yes, Alex is asking Phil. Phil's the only one that escaped the con crud. Yes, my immune system is so top tier that I did not get sick at the con or after. I dodged it all, and I was telling them because I heard you guys got sick, and I'm like, all you have to do, like, this is my immunity is built up of years of licking doorknobs.
Oh yeah.
I've been licking the wrong kind of knobs, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, you have. That's disgusting.
I should have gone for door.
No, I'm very careful. I'm a complete clean freak. I have like hand sanitizer. I don't touch nothing. And it's just talking to people. And I'm really sensitive to the cold. And in the con, it's like freezing and then hot and freezing. So I'm a baby.
Are you a close talker?
I don't think so. No. But yeah, it was just cold, but whatever.
That's true. I might be too tall. I might be too tall for all the germs.
You just float above it all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just being tall. That's funny. That probably works. Yeah, all it takes is one close talker to get everyone sick.
Yep. I never ever get con crud. This is actually the first time I've got it properly. And I felt it on the first day. Like, the con was freezing. Then the moment you step outside, it's like, oh, wow, it's boiling hot. It's like humid and stuff. And, like, you felt the lurgy straight away. Like, you felt it in your face. Just walking out of the convention on the first day. And it's like, fuck, I hope this is fake. I hope this is just me feeling off because I walked out of that conditioned room. But no, it has progressed. It is terrible. But maybe I'm past the worst of it.
Maybe. Yeah, the con was awesome though, because it was like the most loaded con I've ever been to or seen. Like when you go to, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this before we even went, is like just on the website, the guest list, there's just freaking pages and pages of it. And if you guys haven't been to Heroes Con, but you've been to other modern conventions, like if you went to Tampa or C2E2, those conventions usually have an artist alley area, but like the whole con was artist alley at Heroes Con. There was some booths and vendors here and there, but the majority was creators. So much so is they had, I would say, 3 different areas of creators. You had like the main artist alley area, which was the majority of the convention. And then in the center, there was Indie Island, where you guys were, a bunch of awesome other creators. And then around an alcove was another area, which was where I was sitting with Joe Catapano. Bisley was over there, Alan Davis, Andy Kubert, Jonathan Wayshak, Stephen Platt. I mean, it was insane.
Do you feel like, does it kind of contribute to that feeling that the big iron curtain of the culture war is being lifted?
There was no culture war anything there. Like everything felt just normal, and there was a ton of people there. Everyone would talk to everyone. It like isn't it even a thing?
Yeah,
it was fine.
It was a thing in the past, right? Are you saying it was never a thing, or maybe?
I think the last time I was at Heroes Con was a couple of years ago, and I felt some weirdness then, but this time there was nothing. And I don't know if it's just because I decided that I just didn't give a shit anymore, and I would talk to everyone, or if it just, I didn't feel it, but it was like, I was, we did the cigar thing with Tucci and Andy and Frega. They were all there, and it was awesome. And then I hung out with all my old professors, caught up with them. And then I gave my book to like Saranko, Shooter, Bisley, talked to all of them, and like all the other people that I met, and it was awesome. It was just all about comics. And like Phil said, gosh, I sound terrible, sorry. But the show, imagine a rectangle, like half of it is Artist Alley. So it's really awesome.
So it wasn't tchotchkes or whatever?
There was
it was only like a little bit.
Yeah, only some.
Yeah. You probably want a little bit.
Yeah, the artists really definitely more than anything was the artist presentation.
There was just so many people there with their own stuff. Like there was so much to look at. Like that's a show to go to. If you want to see tons of stuff made by a ton of different people.
By the way, 27 people watching, and Julie Pascal's got your number, Jake. You see this one?
Uh-oh.
Concrete the first day means you are the one who brought it.
Oh my God, no!
See, that's logic. That's logic right there.
That's logic.
Michael Rushbrook, the Creative Block crew are so much more fun in real life. Are you saying they're not?
Wow.
Fun
yeah, we're less
Rushbrook?
fun now. We suck right now, but
much more fun.
Underhand
IRL.
Just have to meet Pear next. Yeah, I'm down. I'm glad Rushbrook was there too.
I went
to
get Mexican food with Rushbrook, and we went to this place, and they had like this giant skull ceramic thing, like a mug. And if you buy the drink, you get to keep the mug. And we're like, I want the baby mug. Give me the baby mug. And there's like, sorry, sir, we have none of them left. And I'm like, no, so they couldn't have given me one.
Yeah,
no, Rushbrook was
funny.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to shout out. Yeah, sorry. I just want to shout out Rushbrook for helping at the Fiendish table. So thank you. And was the champ.
He did this too for me.
Yes.
He drew it there.
Oh, that looks so
Fucking
good.
badass. Michael Rushbrook.
Fucking amazing.
He drew it while behind the table.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was insane. I got we need Jake to drop our
pulls out every style. How does he do it?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. He was just like doodling, speed sketching, basically a portrait of Wolverine. He did it in like 5 minutes and looked like Barry Windsor Smith. It was insane. It's like all scratchy and shit. Badass.
Cool. Real quick, just because I don't know how much we were covering this, but because your boy Zach, he's been on a kick, and I've been getting a real kick out of it. But he's like a little bit purging his channel slightly, which I think he kind of wants to do. I don't know. It's like you definitely, he gets accused of doing the thing that we're not supposed to do, where you say, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. But he had some rebuttal to that made a lot of sense to me, but I forget what it was now. But yeah, I did see, it's funny because people are like, oh, the box office movies might be done for good, done forever. And then Bad Boys 4 comes out of nowhere and like does amazing. But
Yeah.
it's just kind of funny, of all movies, Bad Boys 4 is the one to like rejuvenate and save the movie industry. And it's coming, this is the first movie after Will Smith slapped what's his face, Chris Rock.
Yeah. Is it
the Will Smith soy downfall, and now he's in a movie that does really good? That's good for him.
Yeah.
Who's
he really
who
bounced
directed
back.
the new Bad Boys? Is it the original?
No, Michael Bay is the original, and I don't think it's Michael Bay.
Oh, okay.
And the second one is Michael Bay too, and the second one's kind of, in my head, it's like famous because it's ridiculous. Like there's a part where they're crawling in ducks, like in kind of cheesy Hollywood fashion, you know, like crawling, and then they see these two rats, but they're puppets, and they're having like doggy style sex. The puppet rats are. And the one guy, and Will Smith is like, keep going. He's like, there's two rats fucking up here. He's like, what? Keep going. He's like, they do it like we do. Legendary.
Classic.
But yeah, more con stuff. Like I sold a bunch of con books, which is awesome. I don't know if anyone from the con is watching right now, because I did mention it to some people. But yeah, I spent the entire time just drawing. Turns out when you decide to put a page in the back of your book with a drawing in it, and you ask everyone, hey, do you want a drawing? They all say yes.
Of course.
And you spend the whole convention drawing in the back of books. But and also being an absolute artisanal about it, I'm like, none of them can be the same. They all have to be unique. Otherwise, I'm cheating people. And so, like, I had to constantly think of new ideas of stupid stuff. Phil got his. Yeah, you gonna show everyone the drawing?
Yes, of course.
People were loving it, man. It was so good at the con, talking to people, like seeing people laugh and smile. Oh, you asked for the mask, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Friggin' awesome.
Somebody stop us.
Jake,
So good, dude.
That was great. These were
Did
cool.
you hear they're doing a new Futurama season?
They're always doing a new Futurama season. Yes, it did.
Yeah. Are you excited for that, or is it gonna suck?
It will suck, but I'll still be happy it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't suck too much. You know what I mean? Like you just watch it and it's like, this is kind of okay, I guess. And then maybe they'll do.
They're not going to destroy your childhood like they did for Star Wars or whatever.
No, all of the. I think they're not going to Star Wars up like Futurama, Red Dwarf, whatever. All the stuff I like as a kid is kind of tapered out. You know what I mean? Instead of being ruined, it just petered out and wasn't anything. So you got to slowly move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the con, Daniel Warren Johnson walked by table I was at with Joe. Actually, the truth is he went by Bisley's table and we were right behind Bisley's table. And he like went up to Bisley. He's like, "Oh, I know you're John, but I wanted to say it's good to see you," and stuff like that to Simon. And someone's like, "Whoa!" And then and then Daniel was gonna walk down our aisle. And I'm like, "Hey!" And I'm like, "Oh, Joe, that's Daniel Warren Johnson." And Joe's like, "Oh shit!" And he stopped him. He's like, "Oh man, I love your stuff." And then I remembered from years ago. He's in the Chicago area, and I met him before, and I'm like. I told him about the arcade, and he's like, "Oh, I had my bachelor party at the arcade years ago." And so I brought that up. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I talked to you, and I worked for the Galvin Ghost Arcade, and you know, you used to, or you've been there before." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're Mike, right?" And I'm like, "No."
You don't have to try and guess. Just ask.
Yeah, I said that. I'm like, you don't have to try to guess what my name is. My name is Phil. And then we showed him our books and stuff, and I gave him a Lost Pages 3. It's pretty cool. That's funny.
Nice. That's good networking. Warren Johnson's on the top of the heap right now a little bit. He's doing good.
Doing Transformers, which everybody's loving.
You know,
Nice.
Phil's right whenever he does an impressions of Bisley, because meeting Bisley. So he actually mutters under his breath gibberish to throw off Americans. It's not, he just sits there and goes, it's like you didn't actually say anything.
Are
Yeah.
you saying you can't understand him either, Jake?
Yeah. Sometimes he'd say stuff. I'm like, what? What are
Yeah.
you saying?
I feel like my impression's pretty spot on.
All right, Phil. How's it going? Yeah, I'm just doing some drawing. I ain't got time to talk to nobody. I'm going to do some drawing, right? Yeah, I'm here at the convention. I've got stuff to do.
That
After you
reminds me
guys-
of what the Merry Boys would sound like.
Oh yeah, for sure. After you guys walked away, he's like, "Oh, your friends seem like good chaps, you know." So
Good.
he likes you guys.
Hooray!
Nice.
That's great. Awesome.
The Biz. So does the Biz live in America or what? Why is he around
No.
all the time?
No, he
travels?
just he does the con circuit every con season, like through the summer.
Oh, okay.
So he's all over the states. He also goes to like Lake Como Con, and where is that, Spain or Italy or wherever the hell that is.
Nice.
So he's all over the place.
Yeah, I'm glad I got a Bisley print. They looked awesome.
Yeah, dude, you guys got some kick-ass prints.
Gonna put it up, find a frame for it.
This would be funny in a movie, almost. I think if he goes, "You're Mike, right? No, Teddy, no, Frank."
Yeah, that would be good. And then like a bunch of other people too. Like Moromi was out there. Shout out to Moromi. It was awesome seeing him. He got his Lost Pages 3 signed by Bisley. He got a few other people did too, which was awesome. And saw a bunch of readers and backers that came out. Southern Cecil, that was badass. Griever was out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I saw
Many more.
them too.
Rini,
A lot of people came up.
Who was the biggest that
Oh,
you
sorry.
networked with, Rini? The biggest artist.
The biggest.
You got anyone
What?
to match Bisley? Like if Phil drops Bisley on the table, who did you network with?
Oh, network with?
Yeah,
Shit,
to Rini.
everybody. She was flinging out
Yeah,
those
I talked
Swedish
to-
copies.
I
Shooter?
was
Did you
like,
give Shooter-
well, yeah,
Shooter.
I did. He was like, he's like real quiet and reserved. I think he's just tired of dealing with people. So he like won't talk directly to you, and other than like a few quiet words. But his assistant is like super friendly, real guy, outgoing, real sweet. So I was talking to her because I was like, okay, I don't want to come across as like too much or anything to Jim Shooter, like, or I don't want to come across as like a crazy fangirl or something. But I'm like, hey, here's my comic. Can I give it to you? Let me know if it sucks, which is kind of how I just approach everything with everyone. Like, I have a fantasy comic. I don't want to take too much of your time, but, let me know if it sucks. And that's basically, and then I run away. But it worked. He took it. And, yeah, I guess that's probably the biggest name. And, of course, I met up with Serengo, which is awesome.
Yeah, I heard he got
I took out
escorted.
Steranko multiple times now.
Escorted.
If
Yeah.
he guesses your
I didn't
name,
get escorted.
he'll get it right. He
He's
won't
like,
say
"What?"
that your name is like Billy Joe or whatever.
Me?
Steranko.
No.
I'm
He
pretty
knows-
sure he doesn't
Betty?
think.
He has an awesome memory, impeccable. It's impeccable memory. Great.
Yeah, he's very sharp.
Are you only say that if someone's getting old? Is he pretty old?
You wouldn't have no reason to bring it up if they weren't old.
He is like, but he's very, very sharp. And
He's 84, dude.
yeah, but he just has so much experience, really. I had a couple of talks with him. And it was like basically a masterclass in comics. He was just at his booth telling me and this film guy how he broke that. He was talking about he did this visual narrative exercise of this guy who experimented on frogs, and he was breaking down like all the visual elements and how nothing on every panel was wasted, and how to like lead the reader's eye and all that stuff, and how to create motion and manipulate time. And it was like,
That's
it
cool.
was amazing. Yeah, I was standing there for like an hour or two. I don't know. Time flew by because it was magical.
This is how sharp Steranko is. I went up and talked to him a couple times, and I told him that I gave his museum book to Alex Ross because they were supposed to meet up, and then the meeting fell through. So he told me about that, and then he's gonna go into a different story. He starts telling me the story, and I'm standing on the other side of his table, and he interrupts himself, and he's like, "Phil, turn around right now." And so I did, and there's like this super hot chick in a bikini walking past. It was like the Matrix, like the girl in red.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm like bust out laughing, like, thank you. And he's like, how's that to an ending for a convention? That was great. Today he's super sharp. He's awesome.
He is. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was a great
Very
time.
good show.
Frego
And hanging out with friends, which is the best part, of course.
Yeah. When I came in, because I had a late flight Friday, and because I worked Friday until like 6 or whatever, and then my flight was delayed, so I came in after midnight on Friday. I got in town, and everybody was off doing their own things, and then Moromi hit me up, and he's like, hey, we're at this brewery bar or whatever. So it was Frega, Matt Yackey, Moromi, and then Ryan Blue Thunder, who was only there for like Friday because he had something to do the rest of the weekend. It's like parents' anniversary or something. So I got to hang out with Ryan Blue Thunder. That was super cool. He was plastered, super drunk.
That was cool. We got
That's
to
part
see
of the fun of
Ryan Blue
conventions.
Thunder in the flesh.
Yeah, it was awesome that Ryan made it.
Yeah, people cutting loose is fun.
Yeah. It's a great time.
Do you
Yeah, we
guys-
got to
yeah,
get
you guys
you
were
out
partying a
next
little bit?
year, Perry. You got to come next year.
Yeah, I think I can make it happen, especially because now I do have FOMO. I'm mad that we had this conversation.
Yeah,
It
we
was
weren't
obviously
posting
gonna be good.
photos.
I'm
Because it was
definitely
real. I
coming
was
next year.
listen. I know nobody listens to me, but I was telling you this is a good show.
Nobody
And,
listens.
True.
And more, yeah, only well, you did,
Well, it's like
Jake.
it's
So
like
thank
you said. It's like
and
it's like
Phil did at the last minute.
yeah. For me, it's like it's like time and money, but that's work. You can work around that. You can figure that out. So I need to.
Yeah, exactly. Plan ahead. I think a lot of I've heard a lot of people say they're going to be coming next year too. So fingers crossed. Let's make it a
Could be
thing.
cool.
Cool.
Yep.
Nice.
It will
Brian
be.
Keir was there too. Yeah. Everybody was there. It's
Yeah,
great.
I met him.
Brian.
It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
Brooke
love
says
talking to Ryan.
he
I
was
think he
stunned
picked up the
normal.
book. I drew him something.
Mm-hmm.
That's so
Sutton
cool.
Cecil as well. It was good meeting him and drawing him something.
Marcus Killigrew, right? That was him.
Mhm.
Yeah. He was
Yeah,
there.
Marcus was there.
So cool. Andy
Yeah.
Smith.
So many people.
One of the only other stories I have is that like there were people who would walk past and look at the book. They would point at the banner, and they would laugh their asses off. And then I'd be like, "Oh, great to see a new customer." And then they go, "Oh no, I live with my parents." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"So you're
That means
gonna hide
there's
under
a
the bed,
contingent.
right?"
Yeah, like you would sell way more books. You have these ghost sales that are only held back by the fact that people are embarrassed by
Yeah.
other people.
You should do like a black cover, like fake cover that they could peel back to see the real cover. So it like
Yeah,
hides. It looks like a different
a
book.
Time magazine, a Sports Illustrated fake cover.
The disguise incognito cover.
You could
Yeah.
have. You can.
You
have,
should.
You can make die cut slipcases even just for like single issue floppies. It's just like a bit of card. You could do that.
This fits in a little bit to my idea of non-canonically ruining your own story, which I love to do and want to do to all my stories. Whenever I think of an idea, like it'd be really fun to do a fake Sports Illustrated, but call it like Blort's Tillustrated or something. So it just kind of so you can't get sued, and then like have it be like totally real, except there's your character like in a little corner, like doing something.
Just photobombing the whole magazine.
Yeah, make an entire magazine, fake sports magazine, just so you can have your guy photobombing it.
Wait, the funniest story, because Jake's Cardinal books were right next to Fiendish, and I did not see this, but Rushbrook did. So this guy apparently came by, picked up Cardinal, and was flipping through it like, oh, smiling, and they were all happy and looking at it. and flipped through it, put it back down, came over to my table and picked up my sexy demon girl, like convention exclusive art book, Bedeviled. That's just like full of naked titty demon girls. And he picks it up and like drops it like it's on fire and like he's just seen Satan and like apparently rushes, like I didn't see this, but apparently he was like and then just leaves it and immediately evacuates our table. Michael saw it, so I'm
That's
very
hilarious.
confused. Like he's okay with dick book but not boob book. Well,
Yeah.
unfortunately I
He
offended
He
someone.
approved of the shape-shifting weapon, but women with boobs, but also wearing horns, and they also have different skin color. Oh my! Get it away!
It was probably because they thought it was like seriously demonic, which
Yeah.
it's fantasy. It's not actually a demonic thing. But yeah, they were probably offended because they thought it was something else. But that was funny.
Guys, Wilberforce is here. He's a
Yo, what's up,
regular, yeah, with shoot, what's it? Whatever, the unzipped and stuff. Those guys.
Yeah, well read
I-
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't
Wilbur's,
seen them in a
Wilbur's
while.
OG, man.
Yeah, I want to come back on Well Red's channel sooner or later.
Wilbur. And Vaughn's here too. Shout out to Vaughn for letting me crash on his pull-out couch, which was more comfy when it wasn't pulled out.
Oh yeah,
Never
classic.
pull out, then Phil.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
yeah, because it had a cushion that you take off, but the cushion was the best part.
There you
Yeah.
go. Never pull out. That's the lesson, everyone.
Oh, I do have to tell you guys something. Freaking the Dallas Mavericks made it to the finals and then got blown out and lost in 5 games, which is called a gentleman's sweep. So they got destroyed.
Oh my
So
god!
this is a bad thing. I can
I
never
lost-
tell with sports.
I lost all the money that I was gonna make, so I lost $0. But I would have made $3,000 and I made zero. But you know what I found out after the fact? That's kind of crazy. This is kind of crazy math. Like this a little bit blew my mind. Let me see if I can relate it to you guys. So I placed the bet at 1 to 20 odds. So I would literally do 20x on my money, which is crazy because it was so out. But then they made it to the finals, which means that it was either going to be them or Boston. And Boston was 2 to 1 odds because it's going to be one or the other. So at that point, I could have taken the 3,000 that I'm maybe going to win if Mavericks win, and I can bet 1,500 on Boston. So then if Boston loses, I lose 1,500, but then I gain 3,000, so I make 1,500. But then if Boston wins, I gain 1,500. So it's because the math is 2 to 1 versus 20 to 1. It's still 2x. So you can still, like, I won't make 3,000, but I'll make half that. So I would make 1,500. So I actually could have made 1,500, but I didn't think about the math to do that. Otherwise, I totally would have. So.
I definitely understood and followed all of that and didn't phase out after the first couple of seconds of you explaining it. But well done.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Nobody if you, let me know in the
Definitely
chat
understood. I follow you.
Okay, yeah, I need some satisfaction because I'm telling you, this is interesting. It ties a little bit into what we're talking about. I think is like.
Yeah, you kept it
that-
simple right then.
Well, it is like my ability to explain it might be off, but it is simple. That's what's fun about like math and science and stuff. Is a lot of the nature is like simple. I think.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
What, nature and science?
Yeah, and math specifically.
Oh, yeah.
Let that be a lesson to you about gambling. Okay.
Always do it.
Yeah, just understand how to hedge better and always make a profit.
Make your life all about it forever.
Yeah,
Do it again. You'll definitely win $3,000 next time.
Yeah.
I watched the last game in the casino and I lost $100 on slot machines too.
Oh
No.
my god.
Oh, I know. Okay, that's actual dopamine. People don't know how dopamine fucking works. The dopamine is the thing that pushes you to try and get another win. Like, if you lost and then you're like, okay, maybe I can get a win out of these fucking slot machines.
Yeah.
That's what it's trying to do. It's looking for something else to get the payoff.
Well, Cecil did say recently that he's known many addicts and recovered addicts, but he's never known a recovered gambling addict.
Oh yeah.
They never recover.
Yeah, gotta be careful.
I recovered from
It is
loot
dopamine.
box stuff. I don't open loot boxes anymore.
All right.
Yeah. So you just proved Cecil wrong.
Well,
That's good.
I do
You
put money
just
into
buy
some.
other types of useless trash.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
How do you, don't call me out like that.
So-
I'm cured.
By the way, did I show? I can't remember if I showed Rush Brooks. He did a super chat. Shoot. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah, he
Creative
said
box.
Yes.
we're
super chat.
better
Okay.
in real
Okay.
life.
Cool. Thanks for that, Rushbrook. And then, yeah, and then Vaughn. This is interesting. So, we got 32 people watching. Thanks everyone for being here. I tweeted out that this one's simplicity. I feel like it got a little more attention than when I normally announce what the topic is. I feel like simplicity. Have we talked about this yet? Because we've been doing the show a year now.
Well,
Have we covered
It
simplicity?
is simplicity
So-
akin to focus.
Well, actually, I wrote that right at the end that they're kind of similar. But
Okay,
do we do
good.
it on
Yeah, 'cause
focus?
I've been focusing on keeping the story focused around a central theme and keeping it simple by tying everything into that, and not just like having a bunch of random shit happening all the time. But I'm surprised to know what you mean by simple because when we explore genre stuff, apparently having as many plot points as possible keeps people entertained. And that leads to complexity, like a more complex plot, but it works. So I'm looking forward to seeing
we'll
what
get into
you.
it. It's one of these where I'm confused about it too, so I want to talk through it with you guys. But I'll show you the slide I have. I have one big slide. But yeah, Vaughn mentioning like it is a good approach, and when you're on that kick, it feels good. I think like if you have a simple idea that's working, that's
Yeah.
like a good feeling. So yeah, with that, I might throw up this thing here. 1 second here.
It's cool.
There's a visual aid. That this is not
Wow.
necessarily simple. This is a little separate little aside, but it might tie in. But I've heard you boy Zach describe books as glowing sometimes. Books he really likes, he says they glow.
Glowies like federal agents.
No.
Yeah, the
Oh.
books he
Like-
really likes are actually federal agents, Phil.
Spying on us. It's all a
Tell
Right.
him he might be hallucinating.
or
Yeah.
suffers
Tell him
from
whatever he's
extreme
taking, take
paranoia.
more.
But so I was visiting my parents, and my mom grabbed the trilogy was at a yard sale or something, so she's picked it up, and these books are sitting on their counter. She read them when she was a kid, so nobody's reading them; they're just sitting there. But it's like I snapped the photo because I was like, oh, it's cool looking at all three books lined up. They make a little block of paper, and then within that block of paper is like a psychological experience that transports you to another world. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of cool. I think that's what glowing means when your boys X's books glow, and that's kind of a fun goal to treat what we do. It's like we're trying to make this block of paper that's like a glowing, powerful object. You know.
Or
It is
another,
Go on,
you
Phil.
could also a block of paper. You could also call it a creative block.
Womp, womp.
Oh, maybe that's what we should say is actually canon for our show.
The creative blocks of the books, but no, like
Yeah.
books are magical items. They're like filled with densely with runes. They're basically a super sigil for a whole compressed idea.
Oh my god. Okay, Alan Moore and Grant Morrison. These British blokes over here.
Grant Morrison. I don't know if Alan Moore has ever talked about chaos magic, but yes, good second guess.
Well, Morris talks about how spelling is spells and writing words is doing magic and
Well-
doing spells.
Words are magic. You know, imagine if you could talk someone down. You can use words to do so many things. All you're doing is making some sounds, and you can make stuff happen.
Yeah.
You can mass manipulate people with fucking words, right? Like
Yeah, I
that's
remember
happening all
that.
the time.
Yeah, around like 1936, there was this guy that attempted that, and he almost pulled it off.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
guy-
When
the one
when the
guy
printing press
all the
was
rest of them.
invented,
All the
Yeah.
it
other
was like that
politicians.
was some like chaos when the printing press was invented because pamphlets could like blow people's minds.
Yeah.
They're like because books are like really controlled kind of, you know, and all of a sudden it's like the early internet was like pamphlets on the printing press, little zines being like, yo, I have an alternative translation of this part of the Bible. It says we should all be commies, and Jesus wanted us to share the money, and they're not sharing it, so let's fucking kill them. And like, pass it to your friend. And they did that.
That was
It's
the whole internet.
pamphlets. It's not pamphlets.
Pamphlet.
Wait, hold on. What does Irene think it is?
Pamphlet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Was
that's what
no?
he
Did you
said.
What
think
was
Noel
I
say
saying?
was saying
Pamphlet?
pamphlet?
Pamphlet.
Pamphlets.
No, it's a.
I don't know. I was
it's a-
just wondering what is correct.
Yeah, it's with the
Pamphlet.
PH, right? Flet.
Yeah.
Pamphlets.
Pampers.
Are you actually saying pamphlet, Noel? Not ironically.
I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Pamphlets. Yeah.
That works. Let's roll with it.
Yeah. So with this, I kind of was writing down the bullet points. It's funny because you kind of get, I was kind of digging down on it, and then at the end, I'm like, oh, focus and simplicity are similar. So it took me like writing through a bunch to get to that idea. It's at the bottom, so we can talk that when we get to it. But we'll go to the top. There's
Focus.
Yeah, I've got a kind of a bunch of examples, and some of it is like exactly that because it could have almost like two definitions if we talk about them both. But one that I want to talk to you guys about is maybe a little more controversial-ish. Like who knows? Like maybe you could argue for or against it. But it's my buddy Lou Dorge, who I consider my mentor when I was in my 20s. He and I moved to Austin, Texas, and I was checking Craigslist for artwork down there, and I was like 22 or something. Like, so this is like 15 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And he wanted someone to do art for his screenplay that he's trying to get into production in Austin. So I was doing that, and we flew down, and then we met for a burger at this joint. We were he was being real friendly because I was doing free art for him, but that was kind of worth it to me because I was like, damn, this guy's nice. And then he worked at a video store, and he gave me free rentals. So I watched like hundreds of movies of his recommendation. He was kind of giving me an education in film. He's like, watch this, all these like really artsy fartsy, obscure, cool movies. And yeah, just badass film, whatever, education. And then we co-wrote a handful of scripts together. And that kind of helped me a lot. And he would read all my scripts and give me feedback and stuff. But he was like a very, very of the school of simplicity. And I never could fully wrap my head around it, but I've been getting a little bit better at it. But I'm like, man, I didn't even know how to do what you do. Because he would do stuff where he'll describe the plot of his story, and it's like one sentence. And I'm like, and it'll be like 120-page script. And I'm like, well, how did you fill 120 pages with just that? I'm like, you're saying other stuff happens, right? He's like, no. I'm like, so what? Do people just talk? He's like, no. I'm like, he's like, here, read it. And I'll read it. I'm like, damn, you're right. Like it flows like a regular story, but it's like very simple. And
Yeah.
I used to pitch stuff to him, and he would tell me, he's like, your stuff is very Japanese. And it was a nice way of saying that my shit was bonkers kind of and all over the place. And he was kind of guiding me to be a little more simple. But there would be like, I forget the exact like conversation, but I can relay a gist of what it would have been like. And it was like, I'd be like, I have an idea for the story, and it'll be like a guy has to steal a boat because he needs to go fishing to catch a special fish to sell to his friend because he owes money, but the other guy doesn't think that the fish exists. And then it's all finished, whatever. There's like the pitch, and Lou's like, what if he just like stole the boat? And I'd be like, but wait, well, doesn't he need a reason to steal the boat? What's the reason? He got to get the fish. And Lou's like, there is no fish. He just feels like stealing a boat. What about that? And I'm like, but then there's no story. He's like, is there though? I'm like, I don't know.
How high was this guy?
Yeah, and I'll give you like, so that's like a kind of ridiculous example, but I'll give you a specific one that literally came up for me like last week. So last week I was doing a little writing, and I'm writing kind of a new I'm trying to write some separate Percival adventures, like serialized, just like not the big story, but just like other adventures.
Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that stuff.
New ones that didn't exist that you've made up, or stuff that did exist?
I made these up, I guess you'd say.
Nice.
And so I'm kind of plotting it out or whatever. And I'm like, there's two gangs and there's a big bridge in town, and they kind of sell tickets on the bridge, so you can climb up the bridge, and they have a big duel. But the two gangs are kind of at war, so they don't want to go to full blown war where a bunch of people will die. So they are doing a proxy war where they each send their best fighter, and then so the bridge it's like this big venue for this big fight. So people are climbing up. These two guys are gonna fight. And then the father kind of doesn't want his son to know that he's the one who's going to fight, but his son's friends sneak in and tell him, so he sneaks out, and then they sneak to the roof and they're going to watch the fight. So then in my head I'm like, oh, and then the two guys fight, but then he sees his son in the background and it distracts him, and then he gets stabbed and like dies, and then I kind of heard Lou's voice in my head, and Lou's like, or they could just fight. Like, you don't need to do that. And I was thinking, like, which is better? Like, one is more like kind of, I would say, plot where you get dramatic irony or whatever. Like, oh, the kid escaped and ended up being the own undoing, accidentally distracting his own father, who then dies in the fight. Blah blah blah. The other way is that they just fight. And I have like a little spin on it too. Were you guys going to say something? Did I hear someone?
Yeah, is Lou dead?
I don't talk to him anymore. I don't know if he's alive or dead. I'm not sure. He won't talk to me. I don't know, but whatever. It's fine. But
It's a strained relationship.
yeah, because we made a movie together, and it kind of didn't turn out so great. And then he kind of cut everyone off after that, and that was a few years ago. I think he might get over it and hit me up sooner or later, but
he's been keeping it simple.
Yeah. He was kind of bummed about that. That was part of it. I don't know.
It's focusing. I have a question. How do I get a mentor? You know?
Yeah. Well, that's a separate thing. With Lou, I kind of realized it in hindsight. I was like, man, that was super lucky, because that totally was a mentor. He was a little bit older than me. That was kind of all it took, because then I looked up to him a little bit. So I think it probably does have to be a little bit older. Like, and then it's like with Mark Miller, he's not my mentor, but I pretend like he is. So he's like my fake mentor. He doesn't know it. So whatever he says, I'll like look into it a lot. Like he tweeted out like a couple years ago, he's like, I've been taking cold showers, and they really help me get up in the morning and get going strong. And I started taking cold showers like after that.
You're just trying to, you're my mentor whether you like it or not. I'm just going to do what you do in tweets. That's it.
Yeah.
That's good.
I kind of been reading all his books and stuff. And so, that's without taking any of his time. But Lou, like he gave me a ton of time, and taught me a lot of like the stuff that really has helped me, the edge. It's been stuff that he taught me. So back to this one thing with the simplicity thing is like, so one option is like dramatic irony. You would almost always think that would be better, but in this case, I pretty much guarantee that it's not better, because if you go a layer deeper, you're talking about two fighters who are the best of their gangs each, and these guys do not get distracted. Like that, if one guy got distracted by a kid in the background, he would be a retard and he would die, and like that's like unrealistic kind of. So it kind of gets you, the simplicity can bring you more towards like a psychological reality, more like realism basically, but kind of away from the plot. The kind of nice opportunity for dramatic irony can be like this shiny object. For me, I'm like, ooh, dramatic irony, I want it. But I'm like, no, Lou would say don't do it, not this time. You gotta hold off. You gotta avoid it. So I don't know. Any thoughts on that? I have one more example too. But
it's an interesting take on that.
Does this apply to any of your guys' work, do you think? Are there times where you like deliberately make it less? I use the term plot, which is kind of a derogatory, but
I try not to do stuff that I think is like, this would be so cool as an idea. It has to be fun on the page. Like your simplicity for me is just trying to tie everything into the same idea, and not make stuff come out of nowhere and set stuff up properly. I've actually made some scenes a little bit more complex because they were a bit boring. Like an argument, like there was an argument between two characters, right? And they're like arguing in front. There's like a big bad guy that they both want to impress, and they were basically being bitches to each other in front of it. And I'm like, this is kind of too boring. And then there was a dead guy in a puddle on the ground during this scene, and I just decided to make them fight instead of just fighting with an argument. I was like, they were trying to impress the tough guy by basically trying to outbathe each other in the blood, and that, you know, it's a little bit more interesting complexity.
Yeah, I do. I like that. That sound, if that's a choice between the two. But I guess in that case, even like it's a new kind of filter that I think could be useful. Is like,
Yeah.
and these things can be stuff where when you redraft, maybe some things you're making more complex, some things you're making less complex.
Well, you know, as you know, how a lot of the times it's like, here's a new scene. Oh, I've got to think of a new element that would be exciting and interesting. Keeping it simple for me is actually you can just develop something you've already introduced instead of feeling the need to introduce new stuff just to keep stuff exciting and fresh. Does that make any sense? Like, develop something you've already been... Keep spinning a plate you've already been spinning instead of like bringing in more plates.
Yeah, that comes up later where I talk about some psychology stuff. There's something about persuasion and hypnotism, they say, but if you're trying to convince someone of something, they say never give them 2 reasons, just give them 1 reason. Like if you give them 2 or 3 or 4 reasons, they get suspicious. Like, and it's the same like if someone else says, "Why are you late for work?" or whatever, and you're like, if you say like, "Sorry, like I slept in" or whatever, they'll believe you instantly. But if you say, "Well, you know, I slept in and then there was traffic and then this dog got in the way and then I had to help my friend," they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Something's up."
That's that's like John Belushi's excuses from Blues Brothers when his like wife catches him. And he's like, "I'm sorry, my car broke down. I was late for my appointment. My dog ate my homework. Just forgive me." He's got a flamethrower.
Well,
That's
it's almost
awesome.
like if you give multiple reasons, that each one feels less valuable, right? You present one, it's like, wow, that's it. That must actually be the big reason. Like maybe an overly complex story is like an insecure story.
Yeah. There's a confidence and a comfortability where when you get the thing that's working, to just sit with it and work with that, I think is like definitely part of it. And that's like Tarantino. All his movies are like that. And I have a little bullet point on this too about that. I call it the one thing, there's a little what do you call it, contradiction there with some of the things we've said in the past that I do believe, where you say like every scene should accomplish 2 things or more. Like the scene shouldn't accomplish just 1 thing, but then there's this thing called the one thing, and that's kind of like that's what like I feel like all Tarantino's movies are like that. Like if there's 1 reason for you to keep watching, and you're never going to turn off the TV because of that one thing once he sets it up.
Well, if you look at like a comic that has great examples of simplicity in art, storytelling, dialogue, and plot, would be Miller's Sin City. You know, like simplifying the art down to black and white. Sometimes there's not even lines. You know, I just watched the documentary that just came out. Was in theaters for one night, and he was talking about, you know, simplifying like as he got older and got into different stages of his career. When he started doing Sin City, it was to simplify the art and storytelling. You know, it's just cut down to raw art, emotion, narrative, and it is very, very it hits you, you know, when you're reading it. And it's very striking. So there is something to say about cutting away all that flashy stuff for the fat and just going with simplicity.
Yeah, I like that. I do think Sin City feels like that. By the way, is my mic kind of quiet? I'm talking kind of right into it, but I don't know if it's
You're a little quiet. Yeah.
You might not be on the right mic. If you check your
let me see.
StreamYard.
It's not too bad. You just sound a little far away. Don't leave us.
It's not bad.
I'm back.
But yeah, I think you might be on the wrong mic. Yes, and who said that? Snuggy Jr. That was Ray Fisher. There you go.
Hey, I can't believe I went through the whole show on my crappy mic.
Now it's loud.
Oops. No, I'll turn it down. How about now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Nice. Yeah. So with oh, that's cool. So one example too, you can think of like what's the simple version and what's the complex version. And there are some stories that are like that a lot of times in their final form, we're kind of seeing the most simple version of it, even though because I'm trying to think like I wonder if there's a way you could even claim that Game of Thrones is simple, but that's like we can get to that. But Jaws, for example, is just a movie. It's super simple and it's like very fun and beautiful. But the way you could picture a complex version would be like, and it would be in this, you could put it in the same movie. It's not like it makes the movie longer, but you'd be like, yeah, there's a research lab off the coast and they got a giant shark that escaped and blah, blah, blah. You know, like if you add that, like that's just like
Right.
one extra element to get some plot stuff in there. All of a sudden, like that's kind of weird. Like that, then you can hear Lou's voice being like, "What if it's just a big shark? There's no research
Yeah.
lab on
Do they
this."
do they ever say where the shark came from? Does it so it just exists and there's just rumors of it killing people?
Well,
Like
it's the mutagen. It's the ooze that turned the turtles into Ninja Turtles, seeps down into the shark cage, and mutates it.
Yeah, yeah. And then speaking of focus, like what Jake's talking about, the beginning of Jaws is like a short story in itself about like small town politics. And that is the focus. That is the simplicity comes from that. So like they're not even focused on the shark yet at that point, and that's part of the kind of plan. And that like real estate for the pages of the story, then they get to focus on the characters more just because of that decision. So that it is like a little bit of this like focus thing where you can, yeah, I feel like you could accidentally. This is where why I get I don't know like almost paranoid or whatever, but I get worried because I'm like, man, that is an example where you could get swept away by your own fun creativity, and then accidentally do something that's too complex. Wherever when there's a simple version that's better, and you would never even know it. But what helps me is like Lou's voice, like but. Even I think, mess this up a little bit sometimes. But, yeah, but hearing the voice of Blue.
In my head, Lou sounds like Mick from Rocky. You know, he's like Burgess Meredith. You know? Remember
Yeah.
him?
He's like, you got to get up, kid.
Yeah.
gotta do the voice, Phil. You can't say that and then not do the impression.
You gotta keep it simple, pair.
Yeah.
Including all these bullshit plot points, kid. You gotta keep it simple.
Yeah.
However he sounded. I don't know what he sounded. I was doing Phil.
It's good. It was good.
Yeah. Yep. So, I just watched a movie called The Third Man. That's another one where like, that's a detective movie or noir from the 50s.
Yeah.
Surprisingly simple, even though it's like really fun and has a big crazy plot. It's like very simple, which is I don't know, like that's like figuring out that freaking like dichotomy, I guess, between how can something with a pretty crazy plot, like a windy detective story, is also pretty dang simple.
Well,
yeah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, sorry. Good storytelling is all about clarity, right? So,
Right.
and that's what an elevator pitch is. That's the simple plot line, and that's what theme is. You pick one or two central themes that your story is about, and a moral message of your story is about that, and you figure out the elevator pitch, and you can make everything surrounding that grows out from that complex, but it should kind of all emanate from something very simple. Otherwise, the story isn't about anything, and it's not leading anywhere. It's just things happening with no focus and with no argument to it.
Yeah,
No.
that's kind of the way that Game of Thrones could almost be considered simple. And down at the bottom here, it's like I wrote like it's exploring one thing from multiple angles. You could explore the one thing like for like 10 novels in a row almost if you're
That's true. That's kind of what Song of Ice and Fire is. It's all exploring power and control from like a million different angles. And everything is like the story is about the throne, but also not about the throne. It goes, especially in the books, it goes deeper than that. It goes into the mythology and the the truth behind the wall and all that kind of crazy stuff. But it's about power and control, and same as a lot of great fantasy books, a very simple theme, but you explore it just really thoroughly, and it's almost an illusion of complexity. But I think if that simple central theme wasn't there, you'd lose interest because complexity is not a replacement for substance.
Yeah, it probably really helped him write it too. Like if he's mapping stuff out and everything, staying focused. Were you gonna say something, Jake?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I was going to react to what Rainey said and say that's why theme is so simple, but then she dug down back on it. Like, to go back to what you were saying earlier about having like a one thing that it's about, like when I would talk about Connell pretty early on, I would actually try like a bunch of different one things. Like I would think of a different line that definitely does represent the story, but it's like a different way of talking about it. And you could see which one would make people's face light up more. You know what I mean? And which one would get the best reaction. And doing that helps then focus the story, because then you keep it simple around that. Like each tagline or pitch line is kind of like touching on a theme. And then you see which one gets the best reaction and then run with it. And that was good. It worked. Boiling it down. So if you're working on something and you want to figure out what aspect of your story to like centralize things around, pitch a bunch of different aspects of your story in as a one line and just to loads of different people and see how they react.
Yeah, and that goes as well. I wanted to back up Irene's point where the simplicity is clarity, and clarity is so important in storytelling, and specifically in sequential storytelling. You need to have your reader understand what they're looking at, right? But also as a writer in dialogue, most people, unless you have a very flamboyant, dramatic, over-the-top character, normies are lazy, and we speak the most easy way we know how to, right? So, and that helps us too as writers in comics to simplify dialogue and put the least amount of words on a page that gets the most amount of information across. So simplicity and clarity is very important when you're writing dialogue, when you're lettering as well. Like I'm a writer letterer, so I letter my own stuff, so I could change on the fly while I'm lettering. And sometimes I'll see a line that I've written maybe a month ago when I wrote the script, and I could simplify it for the word balloon that I'm putting down. So you want to use your balloon space and your panel space very wisely, and make sure it's clear for your reader.
And yeah, you can try and go through and remove all superfluous beats too. Like I've had scenes where like action takes place because it would be fun, and the scenes ended up kind of better just taking it out. Making it more focused and quicker paced and just like getting on with it.
Yeah, I could see that as something that would contribute to like the weird concept of boredom when you're watching something, like why you get bored, why you want to turn off the TV or close the book. It's if like you're getting a feeling like they're not building towards something or there isn't a focus. You kind of lose trust and you kind of subconsciously just want to stop reading or whatever.
Yeah, something can be on the surface really exciting, and I think a lot of just bad adaptations that have really good CGI and stuff do that nowadays, where the visuals will be really stunning, a million really cool quote unquote things will be happening on screen, but there's no direction. You don't get the feeling like this is going towards somewhere. There isn't a simple goal that the scene is focused towards. You don't know why you're here and why you're rooting for anybody, and that's what causes boredom, or just nothing is happening. Like the scene is just there because it looks pretty, or it's a time filler, which I sense a lot, and that's bad.
Yep.
I wanted to bring up this last comment that Vaughn says, or sometimes you feel like you need more lines in there if there's too much empty space. I sometimes agree with that, but be careful with that too, because you don't want to throw in balloons just to fill. You should really keep in mind, if you're going to add stuff where there's empty space, make sure it is hammering home, like maybe a character trait on someone. Those extra things you add in, they should be meaningful to the character and the story. Because if it's just very mundane things, it can very much feel like filler.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
If there's empty space that needs to be air quotes filled with like new text, it's like that might be a beat that you can just remove.
Sure. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
art and trusting your artist if you're a writer or as an artist, kind of acting out what the character does and trusting the reader's intelligence to interpret it can add a lot to a story. And that's an interactive element, which we've talked about before on the show, right? Where you don't have to spell everything out in the dialogue.
Definitely. And if there's an empty space, this isn't 100% of the time rule, but sometimes maybe it could be a better moment that it's just an empty beat. You know, there's some situations where no dialogue is the answer.
I
But
want to
then-
do that. I feel like I need to do that more too. Rini does that great in her stuff. Like Fiendish, you pretty much focus on it, approach it all from visuals, and then sprinkle in text when needed. I'm kind of the opposite, and each thing is like a jokey conversation. I'm feeling like I need to remove more of that back and forth and make things more visually explained.
Yeah. You know, Dale A says the Marvel method could lead to that superfluous dialogue. That happened with me and your boy Zach just in the editing process. I forget which of the Norzak books, but a lot of times he'll write the outline pretty detailed, but not a script, and then I'll turn it into a script, and I'll go straight to thumbnailing and I'll just give that to him, and I'll letter it and give that to him, and then he gave it back feedback and he's like, good. This one feels like filler. Good. This one feels like filler. And he was just pointing out which
cool.
dialogue that I had picked that was. And after he said that, I was like, "Damn, you're right." Before he said that, I was like, "Ooh, I like this little line. So obtuse, so outside the box."
Yeah.
I've cut out lines I like because things need to get moving.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
There was a line in Fiendish 3 that I really liked, and the feedback I got after showing like my team and my editor was some people really liked it, were like, this line has to stay there, and other people were like, this is forced. And when I reread it, I felt like it was a good line, but it almost didn't fit that moment because it was a line that touched on the themes of the story, but it just didn't fit where I was trying to make it fit. So I'm going to, I decided I'm just going to save it for later in the story and build up the character arc to that conclusion that I was writing.
Yeah.
That's
Real quick. There's a streamer that I watch. I forget his name. His name's Joel from the Vine Sauce guys, but he'll relay. He's like Polish or something, and he'll relay movies he's seen, and he'll tell it back, and he's like, and then he looks at the camera and he says, blah 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 blah. He'll say like the titular thematic line, but he always adds that he looks at the camera. When he doesn't in the movie, the guy does not look at the camera, but Joel is adding that because that's how it feels, because it's so like over the top.
On the
you
nose.
know?
It's like, that's the name of the movie. Like, he just said it.
Yeah.
He said the line. Everyone in the audience claps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Irene, too, that with that line that you really enjoyed, now that you have that, you could save it.
Is this the line?
That's the line.
It's Fiendish time.
It is not that, I promise you.
But no, that's awesome that you can now save it, because you could put it in a moment that's kind of geared towards that or built around that too, and it probably hopefully will have even more impact, you know.
I have a plan. I'll build up.
Another problem that comes from having just feeling like the need to over explain everything or just put text in every beat, people get fucking bored. People will read through it and they'll probably be going like, could these characters just shut up for a minute? Like, could you give me a break? Like I've over explained stuff a bit and pulled it back. You got to find the happy medium.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like, you can literally make people hate a character that's a good character if they don't shut up.
Yeah. So this is a little bit, I think this isn't on the bullets and this is a little bit changing the subject, but I kind of feel like on a scale thing, it's like if the scene should like pretty much always be simple, but the story, like larger story, it can be complex or whatever. So when you zoom in, eventually the building blocks got to be pretty darn simple, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like no one needs to know where Jaws came from. There's just a shock.
Yeah. Oh, and we were talking about confidence earlier. That's like there's certain words you say after you tell a story that imply, I guess, like confidence or like. So one of them is, "That's what happened. Simple as that." Like, if anyone says "simple as that," like they're like, and I'm telling the truth. Like, I ain't even worried about what you think because that's what really happened. And then, another one is, "That's the way the cookie crumbled." But imagine someone telling an overly complex tale that has no point or focus and then saying, "That's the way the cookie crumbled." You'd be like, what the fuck? The cookie did not crumble that way. What are you talking about?
An overly convoluted story, and it's like, that's all she wrote. Really?
Yeah.
She wrote quite a lot.
Yeah, simple as that. That's all she wrote. Yeah, that's all she wrote's another one. Yeah. But those are fun. Like, it's good. That's something came up while I was just writing these bullets, but I'm like, a little test. It's nice if you can say that. There is the one of "that's what happened." I do that in my own writing sometimes. And that's almost like a little bit of cope sometimes. Because it's like, you can have something and you'd be like, oh, like, did I research it enough? Because maybe this isn't realistic. Or maybe there's a lot of moving parts here. I'm not quite sure it's the way that I'm depicting it is exactly how it would go. And then I just go, "That's what happened."
Yeah. Whenever I hear people say that, like, and that's how it went, I'm like, so you couldn't think of a good ending line moment to actually cap off the story you just said, so now you need to say that's all she wrote.
Yeah, we should say it to ourselves, I think. Don't put it in your story.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do a non-canonical ruination, which we all need to do, as many of those as possible.
It's meta.
In mini comic form, yeah. I wrote the next mini comic for Hotel Story Part 2, and I'm excited about it. Random thing, but it's a Resident Evil like sub story at the basement of the hotel. It's one security guard who happens to look exactly like Albert Wesker from Resident Evil. He misidentifies the turned because they're all kissing and they're still alive, but they're like her mind controlled and kind of turn into cave people almost. But he misidentifies them as zombies and he murders a bunch of them. I don't know.
Nice. A sub story in the sub basement.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Mr. Whiskers. You can call him Mr. Whiskers.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Instead of Wesker, yeah.
Looks like things are getting pretty fiendish. Looks at the camera.
Hey.
Is that your line, Rini? Yeah. And then you're going, "Hey."
Yeah, that's my line. You
And
guys all
like
figured
this.
it out. Now I have to write a new one.
You know
You
a
got
story is
me.
simple? Yeah. You know a story is simple if after you say it, you can do this. Hey.
Yeah. I do the opposite of that. Countless times in the story, Connell gets called something that isn't a barbarian. Connell the adventurer, Connell the customer, Connell the doofus. It's like inverting the title.
So I'm going to hop down here just for another example, but it was watching the movie Hannibal, which is okay movie, whatever, but it's about Hannibal Lecter, eating people and shit. And there's a part in that where he writes a letter to Clarice, and in the letter, because he's a psychologist, and he analyzes Clarice in the letter. He kind of is like one-upping her on, he's like kind of the subtext, I guess, is he's being like, I know all about you. I know more about you than you know yourself. And he's
Right.
like talking about her to her, and it's like creeping her out kind of because maybe he's right or whatever, but it's all just voiceover from this letter. But you'd imagine like there's a little bit of that Lou voice because like what he writes is that she has daddy issues, but it's he writes like 2 pages worth of shit, but it's just that she has daddy issues, and that's the simplicity. And like you could imagine like some more crazy complex shit, it just wouldn't land as much. And the daddy issues feels real, like it feels very relatable and real because it's so simple. And so that's back up here to relatability. Like I think a lot of simple stuff is super relatable. So that's one reason simple is always
Sure, definitely.
pretty
Yeah.
pretty great to fit if you can fit it. That's when like even what Vaughn was saying when he has a simple plot for part 2. Like I wish I could think of an example for this, but I remember the feeling kind of early on where I was like still kind of trying to figure out a lot of like the writing kind of stuff, but I'd have an idea and I'm like, oh, this one's like kind of simple. I would get like pretty pumped on it.
Excited about it? Like a naked
Yeah.
samurai.
Yeah, that one's sort of simple potentially, I guess. But yes. And so relatability, universal truths, tropes. A lot of tropes are sort of simple. Genres are in there. They're a little bit simple in their kind of thing. Some of that is even like, you know, a zombie movie. Like most zombie movies don't explain where the zombies came from a lot of times, you know. It's like kind of simpler and better if you don't explain it.
Pretty vague, yeah.
Right. There's
Yeah.
no real need. And I think taking into account what media or what format the story is being told in matters too. If it's one movie, like a 2-hour movie, there's a certain level. It's almost like every story has a simple, this is the story. But how far you add in complexity to it depends on how much space you have. So if you're doing like a whole TV show, then you can add a lot more around that simple core. But if it's a movie, you want to keep it real simple. You don't need to know where the shark comes from. You don't need to know where the zombie comes from, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool. And that reminds me, like, speaking of the Hannibal Lecter thing, that's kind of an example of that initial problem that I still think is a little weird is like, how do you write a long story that is simple? Because you'd be like, writing a short story that's simple seems easy, but writing a long story that's simple is a little bit harder. But that's when he talks to Clarice, it's literally like, you know, a 2-page letter, but it's just daddy issues. And reading it is still interesting. I don't think it's necessary that you read it, pick up that it's daddy issues, and then tune out. Like, you know, you get to kind of see what he's getting at with why he's bringing that up and talking about it that way.
What would you guys call, say, an episodic story? Because a lot of those exist, and every episode is a reflection on the theme in some way, right? And maybe there's a loose through line through one season or 2 seasons or something, but the story is very episodic. Like the one that I really like that I think about when it comes to these examples, because I don't tend to like episodic things, but Mushishi is very, very episodic. And you can almost mix up the order of the episodes in the show, and it's an anime, of course, and it would still be watchable because it's like only probably the last few episodes where he encounters that girl he used to know who had the mushi in her leg. She has like this writing ability to bring letters to life. It's really cool. It's a really weird show. Aside from that, which is kind of this like climactic moment, it was all very episodic, but there's a theme of nature and balance that ran throughout. So what I forgot what I was asking, but what do you guys think? Is that like a simple or complex story? There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. It depends how episodic you go, right? Like, if you have something truly episodic, it goes back to, like, the Next Big Thing stream I did. You create some building blocks, and you can use all those elements to explore a new theme per episode. If you're truly episodic, you're making up entirely, like, one episode of Futurama can be completely different theme-wise to a different one, but it's always, like, having crazy fun in the future. But then if you're doing the 50-50, where there's still a through line, a chronology, an arc, you would probably still want a central theme to tie it together so that the arc story gets followed, but you would probably switch, might even play with different themes per arc.
Yeah. What I thought when you're saying that, Rainy, too, is like X-Files, one of my favorites of the episodic style.
Yeah.
And for that, the thing that ties it all together, the like initial idea that gets you kind of excited, it's not necessarily like, oh, this one will explore loss and this one will explore this. It's kind of like the idea is like, I got a freaking sweet idea. It's a separate section of the FBI that's just for paranormal investigation, and it's buried deep. No one wants to work there. Only 2 people get assigned to these cases. And that's like, they're like, we can do 100 different cases. You get kind of excited when you realize the possibilities.
We do anything.
Yeah, I think an episodic thing ends up being simply because you're making a full story in an episode, and then it has to be strong and direct and quick.
Right.
And
Yeah. You know what it is? You're not pitching the actual plot of the episode, then you're pitching the setup or whatever.
Yeah, the
like
vehicle.
even Hercules, like you're like, yeah, like the pitch or whatever. It's not like, well, Hercules, he has to go in and to the Minotaur's labyrinth and save a guy, and no one who's gone in has survived, blah blah blah. You're just like, no, these are the legendary journeys. Hercules, the legendary journeys.
Yeah.
Like, go on, Phil.
I always enjoy the stories more that have less moving parts in them. I think perhaps it's because they're more simple and focused and clear, and you have less players to worry about or to understand who they are. And especially like novels and stuff, or like I'm listening to a book, it gets to a point where there's like I'm listening to the last Dark Tower book, which is there's like 8 of them, and it's been such a journey through the books. Now it's in the last book, and they're introducing new characters or bringing back characters that were only there for like one book, and it's like, oh, who are all these guys? And like the best points in the series for me is like when it's a very isolated story of cowboy kids going and killing witches and stuff like that, So
yeah,
maybe that's a personal thing with me. Like I
agree with you.
Yeah, I couldn't even fathom to begin to fathom on if I could even ingest something like Dune,
Yeah. And that first book, the Dark Tower.
Gunslinger.
Yeah, that's a big novel, whatever. It's like 300-page novel. And It's so simple. It's like a guy walking in the desert the entire time.
Yes, dude.
But so then when you say that, that's like, I could picture Lou saying that. He's like, I got an idea. A guy walking in the desert. I'm like, yeah, but what happens? He's like, I don't know, stuff. It'd be 300 pages. I'm like, 300 pages of a guy walking in the desert? But yeah, that's part of the fun of that one. I remember reading that and it kind of blowing my mind, that first Dark Tower.
Yeah, the first 4 look really good. What were you going to say, Jake?
I wasn't gonna. Oh no, agreeing with you on the episodic thing. Yeah, no.
Well,
I remember.
Okay.
The thing is, the arcs, the longer stories in the arcs, they keep people hooked. That's the thing. You need a really good premise that can be very stretchy to do like 1 million episodic stories that are all going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And like it depends on the kind of writer, what you're going to create, like what works for you. Because honestly, the long form stuff, like this is most manga, right? The arc keeps you hooked.
Yeah, with my Percival idea, he's a traveling healer with the Grail, and I'm trying to write like these separate stories. I'm trying to do 8 of them and treat it like a fake TV season. And so every time the Grail has to be used in a way that kind of creates an interesting, like it's like almost structured more like Star Trek, but what do you call it? Like a moral ambiguity kind of thing. So that first one I mentioned where the 2 guys they're doing a proxy fight on behalf of the 2 gangs. and one guy like mortally wounds the other guy, but then Percival intervenes and heals him, and then that creates kind of a problem because they're like, well, this guy won, but the fight was to the death, and this guy's still alive. And then one gang is like, well, your guy clearly lost, so you need to like leave town because that was the deal. Like, you're giving us the territory now. And the guy's like, hey, the deal was for him to die, and my guy's still here. He's fine. And so that, like, that's like that first pilot episode or whatever is like trying to think of these ways that the Grail can get used. There's another one where, because Percival loses the Grail sometimes, and then he'll have to like find it again. But he comes upon a kingdom where a king has been using it to keep his son alive. But his son is like a disembodied head. So for Percival to remove the Grail, his son will die. And there might be a reason why his son is like needs to be kept alive too, for like another weird reason.
That's pretty
like
cool. I like that.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, the simplicity of Percival is there's one guy, and he is bound to have to adventure with this magical yet antagonistically rule-setted item, and you're just throwing him at different situations that those two things conflict with each other, right? He's almost in constant battle with the chalice.
Yeah. Yep. And I realized that's like his personality too, is like he's very much into the philosophy of the battle of wits with the Grail. And it does beat him over time. Like, he does get more and more broken, basically. But
Yeah, like Percival just sounds like Percival versus the Grail, and everything else is an episodic thing that explores that.
Yeah. So I've been daydreaming a lot about that. I'm excited. I got all 8 outlined, and they're all fun. I'm like, dude, I could do 16, whatever, but I want to get 8, and then I have like the big script of when he actually gets back to Camelot. I have that ready, so I'll have a bunch of written material when it's all done.
It's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So getting down here towards the bottom, some of these we've already covered, but one is real quick is I feel like systems often are simple kind of naturally, but it's definitely good if they are simple. And a lot of inspiration can come from that. Like I wrote biology, but like even physics, even like sociology and even history, you'll find little things where these like little systems come up, and they can be pretty darn inspirational. But so I'll give you a few examples. I remember from biology, there's one example is I went hiking a few summers ago, and there's these freaking little no-see-um flies, they call them, and they'll buzz around you and bite you, and you get kind of itchy, so you're always slapping them. And the birds like will eat these little flies, but the birds will not fly near you because they're scared of you. So for the flies, their like most safe spot is to fly near you, and then they try to bite you, and you try to kill them and stuff. But it's kind of like a real life example of rock paper scissors.
They sound
Human
like
fly
mosquitoes.
Yeah, it could be basically like mosquitoes. So you got mosquitoes, birds, and humans. Like if you were an airplane, and it's like flying near a giant could actually be the safest spot because you aren't getting targeted by like by dragons or whatever that are flying around, because the dragons won't go near the giant.
I don't know how much sense that makes.
What would Lou
Worth
say
the
about
thought?
this?
Well, okay. So the next example is plants. So I put bark in my front yard, so I don't have to mow it anymore. And little freaking
What?
weeds.
Explain that.
What?
Explain that bark.
What?
Explain. You put bark in your front yard,
You don't have to mow it anymore.
so you don't have to mow it.
Yeah.
Like you pull like sod,
Do you mean mulch?
like mulch, yeah, like wood chips.
Yeah, like wood chips.
Okay.
You covered your grass in wood chips.
No, we like bulldozed the grass.
Okay.
And then you put down wood chips, but little weeds are still popping through. And
I think if you don't want any grass at all, you bulldoze it, and you have to put down weed barrier, like if you want to be permanent.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
Forgot
Which
the
is
weed
like a
barrier.
plastic sheet.
yeah.
anyways, I didn't do that. So little weeds are
Hey.
popping up.
Enjoy the weeds coming up for your
And
buck.
so I've been like weeding here and there. It's no big deal. But I realized with the weeds, the thing about them is they got two things going for them. One is water to the roots. The other one is sun to the green leaves on top. So the roots on the bottom, leaves on top. The water that hits the roots makes the leaves go bigger. The sun that hits the leaves makes the roots go deeper. So you can cut off the leaves, but then the water will still make them regrow. Or you could cut off the water, but then the roots would still get deepened slightly because of the sun still hitting it. The only way you can really kill them is by getting both. And I was like, oh, that's like a simple biological system, could totally apply to many a story. If that ever was put into a story, like as a metaphor, whatever it would be,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of fun, I think.
It's interesting.
And that's all she wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the way the cookie crumbled.
Yeah. And then
And that's what happened.
yeah. So yeah, two more bullet points. So one is for horror. What do you guys think? I mean, I feel like this. I don't know,
Horror is the most basic one. It's the
Yeah,
simplest one.
Yeah. It's like whatever scares us is always very simple, I think.
But that's all energy exchanges, sacrifice, like energy costs, conservation of energy, the constant threat of death. It is the most basic of all the genres, and it's all about survival.
Yep.
I think that's why it's so popular, by the way, because it's genuinely so simple. And it's also why it works so well in video games, because it doesn't have to be overly complex, and you can just kind of like not put a lot of elements in. Like a lot of horror games, they don't even over-explain stuff. They throw a few things around that are like clues to tie together, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Horror never really
Okay,
goes
well-
out of fashion either.
Horror is primal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like prawn, so it's primal, and
What?
there's no. Well,
Prawn.
it's like
What was
we
that?
want
Prawn.
to survive. We want to. You know, it's one
Yeah.
of the most primal
want
emotions.
to
There's something you're
breed.
afraid of. You want to
You wanna
survive,
get
and you want
a
to
head
breed,
wet.
and you want to eat. Whatever, all those very base emotions.
Yeah.
Horror taps into that, so you don't need to make it complex. It's better if it's really straightforward. Come up with, it's almost like you find a basic fear that everyone is afraid of, but reframe it in an interesting way and just keep it that level of simplicity, and you can make a really good horror show. It's all about presentation, but presenting something simple. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
I wonder if something like too complex, like an example of horror that is complex that is not scary because it was too complex. I wonder if there's any examples of that. Like,
I
what's
feel like
veiled horror?
Hellraiser is pretty complex, but that's probably still scary, right? I don't know.
I wasn't scared at any point watching Hellraiser, but I was,
Especially the first
34.
Yeah. Well, you know what one they say is the most scary a lot of people is The Exorcist. Definitely super simple, that one, which is awesome.
Yeah.
God,
That
I
was not
wouldn't-
scary at all.
Yeah,
Very
I'm trying to think.
scary.
What would it take to scare me now in a film? I don't think I'm scared by anything in stupid movies.
Probably Commitment.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oh.
What about what's the one It Follows? You guys see that one? That was a good one.
I
No.
heard of it.
Yeah, that one was scary.
Apparently it followed them.
No.
Yeah, it's a thing that's always walking towards you, and you can like drive 100 miles away and buy yourself a week or two, but it's always walking towards
Oh,
you.
so they made a serious version of the millionaire snail?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's scary though.
I think the Lovecraftian horror is still scary to me because it's not there's a ghost, or it's like there's a killer hunting you, which is overdone. Lovecraftian horror is cosmic horror. It's the unknown, and he presents it
Yeah.
so well. I think that
Yeah.
that is genuinely scary because well, think about what do we not know yet? All the vast unknowns of the universe bearing down on you.
The
It's great.
last thing that scared me is kind of similar to that, and it was like thinking the moon is constructed like it's a probe, like the moon brought life to Earth.
Well, it
And
is.
that freaked me out because it's like if there's a civilization that can like do that, and they left it here that long ago, like basically the massive unknowns it opens up. I was like, that is chilling.
Yeah. Did you guys hear, like, I just saw a tweet, but the guy said that the reason that we're scared of the uncanny valley, do you guys know what I'm talking about with that?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
something looks almost human, but not.
Yeah. So the reason we're scared of that is because it's in our genetics. It's been evolutionary ingrained because sometime in the past there was something that was killing us.
Body snatcher stuff.
That took the form of us.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That,
I like that theory. That's pretty badass.
I like that a lot too. Have you heard a theory that fear originates from other human species because there used to be more that we were competing against, and they were probably hunting us.
Yeah,
which I think is
That's
fascinating.
awesome too. I love that.
There's like the more supernatural theories of the Wendigo and stuff, which that kind of stuff I'm open to. You never know. Also, don't come for me. Or it could be other human species.
Well, I think another thing you can throw in that pot is if people are acting a bit nuts, you can tell something's off about someone. Like if maybe they've been smoking a little bit too much crack, not the right amount of crack,
Right.
a little bit too much.
Yeah.
You can tell, and I do think it's kind of part of people seem ill, or maybe they're mentally ill. You have mechanisms to detect for that, and I do think uncanny valley stuff can tap into that.
Yeah, or definitely like those like Japanese horror girls that move all weird and shit, and like Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
The Ring is pretty scary.
Right, and that's like a evolutionary trait of to tell that someone that's part of your tribe has like a weird sickness, and they're all like twitchy and shit.
Yeah, there's actually I watched a breakdown of why some guys just seem creepy, or like why people seem creepy, and like is actually rules to it. There's like when they exhibit an emotion on their face that doesn't match the actual emotion of the situation. Like when they change their expressions too quickly, like all of this actual rules to it.
It's called autism.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of autistic people do the
listen,
entire list, and it's like, oh, now I get it. Maybe you could...
Yeah, it's
they
like
don't know they're doing it. They don't know they're standing there with a big grin when there's like nothing positive about the situation.
Or like when you drop a big box of toothpicks and then the guy could tell you how many toothpicks were in that box.
Yeah, 62.
Yeah.
You guys can't do
that? With me, it's Q-tips.
Oh, hell yeah.
Only Q-tips?
Yeah, only Q-tips. Everything
Q-tip
else,
bros.
I can't tell.
I like those flossing tips more. Those
single use.
They're called interdentals.
Who the fuck knows that?
I do. The tooth guy, the guy with the best teeth, knows what interdentals are called.
The
Englishman.
Yeah, and so someone, was it Alex, said instead of the Visigoths, it's the Invisigoths were the threat. That's funny.
Alex, you're canceled.
Someone needs to make a book called Invisigoths now.
I know we're getting dangerously close to like an idea I'd actually want to do. Like I've been wanting to do a caveman story for a long time, and doing one that would kind of try to address the reason that we're scared of the uncanny valley would be a cool like version to do a caveman horror story. Blah blah blah. But
caveman horror story.
Yeah, but
I've never heard that concept before. That sounds cool.
And even speaking of like how simplicity can kind of come into it and be fun is when he says like, or what, fighting invisible people. I was like, what if cavemen had to fight invisible people? Like, well, they kind of did that with Predator. But you'd be like, on one hand, you'd be like, well, they would just get fucking murdered. The invisible people would destroy all of them. So, but then you're like, well, what if that happened and like they were getting murdered, but a few are still alive? and then they like figure out a way, like they figure they can dump paint on, get him in a trap, dump paint on him, then they can see him or something, and then
Yeah,
they
invisible
actually
things.
survive like that against all odds. Like that would be so
Caveman
cool.
paint.
They're
Yeah.
versus caveman paint gunners.
Yeah, they have like traps to throw paint to try and
Yes,
They
suck.
did that. I didn't see the film, but they did that film Prey, and everybody knows the Predator's biggest weakness is a small Native American woman.
Yeah.
So
We
Yes.
I
need
do
more
wanna-
of
Don't you
those
know
then,
the-
clearly.
Don't you understand the undefeated prowess of girl power? So,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I'll watch it.
Oh, that there's something there with their movie. I think it's just called The Cave. I'm trying to remember, but it's it's pretty simple. That's what's kind of fun about it. But it's some people go cave diving, and then they're just diving down there. They're just climbing in the caves. But then down there happens to be an ancient race of not humans, but like something that used to eat and hunt humans. It's
Nice.
human-esque, and it murders all of them. Blah blah blah. And
That's be a go. Is that a thing already? It's like a horror thing.
yeah, that's a movie. It was a really good movie too, but it's like
Is
a
it
little
called
hardcore.
Seaman?
It's a good concept.
Yeah,
I hate that because it already has that little Junji Ito. You're getting squished in this freaking rock, right? It has that anxiety where,
Yeah.
like the spelunking thing or cave traveling, where you're going between these two very, very small opening and shit.
yeah,
It's
Hate
claustrophobic.
small openings.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, the
Was
horror
the film
one. That's
called
funny. I didn't
Seaman?
expect that to get talked that much about it, but that's a really good example. And a good way to understand it. I think.
I love this next line that you wrote.
Opposite of simple diarrhea, spelling it wrong.
oh, like verbal diarrhea.
Yeah, or like plot diarrhea, or
I
whatever.
think you should have clarified that, but I
That's like when you're climbing up a ladder and then you hear something splatter. It's
No.
diarrhea.
It's gross.
no,
Yeah.
don't know.
Opposite of simple diarrhea, no point, no sense of building towards a point, no argument, no theme, no focus. Does the theme help you simplify? Does it help you focus? Yes, it does. And that's it. That's everything. And that's all she wrote. And that's how it happened.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
The end of that chapter.
Yeah. Till
Yeah.
next time.
Remember that one, Jake?
And that's the end of that chapter.
Nice.
In
Yeah.
the scarf.
Nice one. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel less simple after learning all of this.
Yeah. Yep. I wonder if
Focus.
it'll help us. Or
Well,
not.
simplicity. I think what you're saying here could also be, it's in storytelling terms, you could also rephrase it as focus, right? Simplicity and focus, and it's good talk. I feel like this is extra motivating for why stories should have a simple focus. Don't worry about dressing it up with grandiose words or like, ooh, look at me showing off how smart it was. Yeah, it's. I guess I know we're wrapping up, but I just thought this is a really useful, I guess, a metaphor or something similar is art, where, especially comic art, where detailed art is not always better than simple art. It's not just about how detailed your art is with comics, because comic art is about clarity and storytelling. So it's not to say that, well, detailed art is bad. Obviously, I have a detailed art style, but that's not what's important. You're not here to show off how much detail you can do and how good you are at drawing. You're here to show off your visual storytelling skills and get the story across clearly. So I think on the writing side that goes hand in hand with the art, it's the same philosophy.
Yeah, I agree. And something to add to that is whether it's your visual storytelling, your written storytelling and with plot and everything, clarity is key, which I want to emphasize. And the old adage is, if you confuse your audience, you lose your audience. So that clarity
Oh,
from
yeah.
panel is super important in comics.
Yeah.
Simplicity is confident, it's direct, it's clear, it's instantly understandable, it's relatable. Like that's why you want to make. That's why people care about relatability. So it's understandable in very simple terms.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. What and it can be very inspirational when you lock in on that. That's where a lot of the ideas and inspiration can come from, is that exploration from different angles. Once you get the thing, you're like, oh, let's see. Let's like, we can have one character. Like actually, even with Earthbound, that's something that everyone tells me they like, and I was lucky that I did it because I think I kind of did it accidentally. But it's that Spaceman has the exact opposite strategy as Julia. So
Yeah.
she does precision tactics, and he does like broad brush strokes of chaos, and the fact that between the two of them, the entire spectrum is kind of covered thematically for the strategies that you might employ in that situation. People really like that.
Well, yeah, tying into that, one simple thing that I've kind of like boiled stories down to recently is a story is simply just a battle of philosophies.
Yeah.
And that ties. You basically had two characters that had opposite philosophies approaching the same problem. Like that's perfect. That's the simplest way you can approach a story.
Yeah. There's Star Trek is like that. The Fountainhead, like Ayn Rand's super awesome, famous stuff, is all like that. That's a cool. It comes from that idea of like, this is, this kind of ties in. Basically, we have talked about theme before, but this helps me understand theme a little more, because in the past I've sometimes even not cared about theme really. But if you treat it more of as an idea that you can explore from multiple angles, that is like a pretty fun, simple way to get excited about it, I think.
Your theme is, imagine the solar system traveling through space. Like it isn't in one place, it travels through the universe. The theme is like the path of travel that's in the middle of all of the heavenly bodies, including the sun. Like the sun isn't even in the middle. Everything is revolving around that central line. All of the planets and the sun. Like that's the theme. That central line is the theme, and all of the planets and the sun, that kind of like all of the elements in the story. The sun's kind of like the protagonist. But yeah, that central line of travel is the theme because everything revolves around it.
Yep. And one random thing too, there was one bullet I skipped and I forgot, but real quick is American Pie, the old movie. I saw a YouTube short where it said American Pie cast then and now, and of course I clicked on it. I don't know. Oh, it's because the one girl was on it. What's her name?
Allison Hannigan.
No, the kind of famous hot one. I forget, but
the redhead, right?
No, I don't know. Does anyone
Tara
know?
Reid?
No. But
which character? The blonde one?
The exchange student is the character.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hot one.
Yeah.
She was the hot one for you?
Yeah, but so that's the thumbnail, and so I'm like, I want to see what she looks like now. So I click on it, and they go through every character and show them then and now, and I was like, oh, all these characters are freaking iconic. That movie, I'm like, I didn't realize. I feel like society took that movie for granted, but then I'm trying to remember, I'm like, it was a smash hit that started an entire franchise. So you're like, all right, how good was it? Like, it made a ton of money, everyone liked it, and it had a ton of sequels. Why is that? One reason is because if you look back on it later, you're like, man, why did every single character stick with me? Literally, I don't know, it's actually every single character is like iconic.
Shannon Elizabeth, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm like, how did they do that? That's like...
Simple.
Yeah, they actually are. They are simple.
They're all a meme. They're all an idea. Like the one time from Bandcamp Girl, just a nerd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of the characters
actually,
just like lunkhead.
Yeah, and speaking of exploring the idea they're explaining is losing your virginity on a prom night.
Yeah.
Is the idea to be explored by multiple angles. So they have like all the different iterations. They have the couple that's actually in love and might get married, but they might break up because they're going to different colleges. They have the bro dude who's ridiculous. They have the guy. They have the guy who bangs
Stifler.
that guy's
His
mom.
mom.
Yeah. Well, it was cool because Stifler was like all in your face macho, but like it was obviously because he was so insecure because people would fuck his mom.
Yeah.
The guy with the hot mom has always got to be insecure because they know that everyone's looking at their mom.
She's not looking too hot anymore.
Well,
His mom.
pump that bitch up with some saline. Get it. Let's mainline some saline into that face. Bring it back to life.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good example. That's a classic. That's when I like that. When I thought that, I was like, damn, like that would be something to make me up my game, because when you really realize how good it is, because you see it and you're like, oh yeah, that was a good movie. That's pretty good. That's a lot of fun. Then you're like, oh no, that's an all-time classic with iconic characters that will live forever and started a franchise. How did they do it? How did they do that?
Well,
and it feels like just a regular old good movie.
They kept it simple.
Yeah.
Marumi's right. I think they coined the term MILF. That's where everybody learned it.
Really? That's amazing. That's
yeah.
cool.
Was that a thing before American Pie? I don't know.
No idea.
Yeah, I'd watch a documentary on that movie. Like, who wrote it, and like, did they know they had lightning in a bottle, kind of thing, and
I did actually watch it, but
Oh wow.
all I remember is like, yeah, I know, shocking. All I remember is the one time in band camp girl and the banging and the screwing the pie scene.
Yeah, the
That
titular
would
pie.
make the
He looks
skin
at the
rip.
camera.
Very educative of how teenage boys function.
If a guy actually did that with a piping hot, fucking boiling hot apple pie, like you would be permanently wounded. Like you would put it in and it would come out in the. I'm not going to describe it. It would be bad. Don't put your hand in like one of those hot spring things that's like really boiling hot water and pull it out, because your skin won't be on your hand anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You sound like
anyway.
you speak from experience of burning yourself many times with various objects.
Look at this. Camel actually admits to inventing the word MILF. He said he was using it in high school the year before the movie came out.
Okay.
Year first.
Sure, Camel.
Yeah. You know what I invented in high school was car surfing. You guys ever heard of that or done that?
Is where you jump over the bonnet, or just you sit on the top of the car?
Stands on the top, right? No, wasn't freaking Carrot Top doing that? Or who was doing that?
Yeah,
No,
it became a
Pauly
nationwide
Shore.
sensation, but I invented it when I was drunk in high school.
Pauly Shore saw you.
Someone saw me that then Pauly Shore saw them.
Oh,
I think,
okay.
once removed, maybe.
Very 90s.
Yeah. Yes. So one other thing, I'm introducing a segment when it's on my channel to do a little bit, just going over a couple campaigns that have been on my radar. We got 3 here we're going to go over. One, I saw him in the chat, is Edwin the Ace Acevedo is here. How's it going, man? I don't know if he's still here, but he was here earlier. We appreciate him being here.
Yeah.
And this, what's fun here, I like seeing these, like this is volume 3, you know what I'm saying? Like this is getting up there. That's what I like to see. He's been here from the beginning. He's building up this big kind of epic story. And is the art for this too, is it Canales or is it someone else?
Yeah, interiors are Ebi, who I got to meet. He came out for C2E2. That was freaking
Oh,
awesome.
that's awesome.
So yeah, Ebi is doing the interiors. I think Alan Alonso, the Hulk Comics, my buddy, is doing the colors on it. And then also Alan has like a short in the back, which is the last couple pages on the campaign. But kick-ass interstellar superhero action. And if you guys read the first 2, you'll know the characters that were introduced, like Angelique, Ace, Akula, the badass shark guy. They're all have to team up in this. So some of them were villains before, and they were all hunting the suit that the Ace has. But now something happened where they are forced to work together.
Cool.
So check that out.
Yeah, nice pitch. It looks great. The art's great. Ibai, I want to eventually do like, if I wish there was a campaign to just buy every Ibai book, because he's done so many.
So prolific, yeah.
Yeah, he's the most prolific artist.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Real quick, Wolfer's here too. Wolfer's been doing a little webcomic on Twitter that I do enjoy very much as well. It's all like kid pick style, like pixelated, very simple art, you know.
Cool.
And I was like, I think Wolfer, I don't know when, but I want to like write something and have you do it in that style. Like as it'd be like an artsy fartsy book because it's like deliberately this weird kid pick style. But I think that I kind of like it, honestly. I think it's kind of fun. So
Yeah, Wolfer also a guy I met in C2E2.
oh, nice. Wolfer was there. Nice. Yeah, you know, one of the weirdest comic experiences I ever had was there's a couple that are like in the same category, but
Yeah.
Jared sent me the thumbnails for his comic, The Oval. But so the comic had not been drawn yet. He doesn't write scripts usually. If it's his project, he'll just go straight to outlines.
Uh-huh.
So it was these scribbles with like scribbled words, and you could barely tell what's going on. And I read the whole thing like in one sitting. I couldn't get enough of it. I just loved it. It was like that was like the best comic I've ever read, was like his thumbnails.
Oh.
But it was because it was so abstract that I was having so much fun trying to figure out what the little like scratches were.
Yeah.
And then trying to read the handwriting to decode the story. For some reason it was like really fun. I was like, damn, comics work. You'd be surprised what you can get away with. But
Yeah, well, that's how you know a comic is good, if it's entertaining at a thumbnail stage.
oh yeah.
That's what you want to aim for. Yeah, so that's great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, this looks great. So everyone, check it out. Give it a look. We just want people to know it's out there. And another one that I guess it launched tonight. It's Pendragon. This is another one in Arthurian lore. The dude's on Twitter. Do you guys know this guy's name? I forget his name right now.
He was just on Bancroft's, right?
Yeah, he was on with Bancroft, and he has another. I think his other comic is called Wolfsbane. So he has a couple comics. He's been around the scene, and all the books look great. This book looks actually like really awesome. I definitely will be backing it. Yeah.
Oh, fantasy, yes.
Yeah.
More fantasy.
Yeah.
Colors
But yeah,
are
yeah, like
perfect.
check out, like,
yeah.
Oh wow, that looks freaking
Very
insane,
beautiful.
dude.
yeah. So sometimes you see these and you're like, oh, this. I feel like this could be a hit that makes 100K.
Yeah.
You never know. But yeah, like
Mhm.
day one up to 32 backers definitely needs to reach its goal. This would be a good one to at least get to 5 figures or whatever. Hopefully.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah,
Hopefully
looks
way more. Looks amazing. Yep. And this is a dude. I had a message from Twitter that had got thrown to like spam kind of thing that I had checked randomly because I forgot it even exists. But I checked those and I had a message from this one guy, and his campaign had already ended, but he had asked me if I would promote. And so I click on the link and I was like, oh, it was this one because I saw this art
looks
once.
cool.
Yeah, I saw it floating by and I really like the art.
Show us
So
more of the images on the slideshow. Go to the top. Show us more of the slideshow
So-
images.
The
Yeah.
Nandor, the creator, was on my channel maybe a month or two ago, so you guys can go watch that interview to find out more about him. But yeah, the Fabled Offering sounds very, very interesting. It's like science fantasy, and he's got this European art style. His artist is European, I believe, either Brazilian or European. I don't remember, but with this very obviously more European influence style that's really trippy and 70s, and I just love the coloring. The premise is about there's this princess who's pregnant and she has to get to a god in a spaceship to get an answer. That's what I recall, and there's a mystery behind it that is not revealed to you yet in this pitch, but I would buy it just for the art alone, and I love science fantasy concepts, so definitely check this out.
Yeah. Yeah, I did back this one right away
Oh, wow.
because the art really was striking. And
Yeah.
That's crazy.
fun. I kind of want to like study the moves a little bit.
It reminds
It's really
me
cool.
of some of David Mack's work, like his cover work. Those first couple images that were at the top. This is really cool.
Yeah.
That
Man, it's
collage-
only $14.
Yeah. So this is
Uh-huh.
another one that I'm like, man, it could make like, I guess if it during the golden age of crowdfunding, this would be like making 80 grand or something.
Yeah.
But maybe people not everyone quite knows about it yet. So definitely take a look and back it if you find it interesting. This one's affordable too. I backed this one like right away. Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Super cool.
Do it.
Yep. So those are 3 campaigns for everyone to take a look at. I think Edwin, when Phil hosts, Edwin will actually come on as a guest, so that'll be good to have some actual interviews.
Yeah, I was gonna have him on my Friday show, but he works late Fridays, so we'll do
Yeah.
I'll try to pick a cool topic to wrap all that stuff together.
Are you next week then? Is that what it is? Or
That's me.
I think it's Jake next week. Yeah.
and then you, yeah.
Who knows what topic I'll think of? It's a mystery, but stay tuned. I'm sure it'll be amazing. I'm sure I'll do the best job ever.
Jake, what are you doing? What are you doing tomorrow night, Jake?
Say again.
What are you doing
I
tomorrow?
didn't hear you.
What are you doing tomorrow night?
Hopefully, not coughing my lungs out. Not streaming. How about that?
You don't want to stream?
Oh no, I won't be streaming tomorrow.
Oh
I'm
my
looking
God.
forward to getting back into it though. But yeah, because like I've got to, it's been fun selling Carlo the convention, but there is a campaign. I'm looking forward to touching base with people and talking about all the sketches I did and how fun it was. It was just great talking to people. But yeah, hopefully coughing less tomorrow.
All right.
What are you doing
Fine.
tomorrow, Phil?
I'm gonna stream, and I was gonna invite you on, but I guess you're too busy.
Okay, we could talk.
Yeah.
Like
Alex, if the meme is ready, we'll look at that too. We might go as long, we can go another half hour, but we might go soon-ish too. I'm not sure. So let's look at that meme if it's ready. And I hope that we'll see what's in it. There's one thing I want to relive that might be in the meme. And if it's not, I'll bring it up. But
Cool. Oh yeah, I was gonna. This is campaign's gonna close soon, so we shipped out all the books. So if anybody is still out there that hasn't backed, we still have books, and they'll ship out like the next day. The turnaround time is gonna be really quick, and then once we close it down, the books are gonna go up on our site, probably a little bit more expensive. But right now we are packing up all the figures for the 3D printed statues, and we have a bunch of those packed. They're going to start shipping out tomorrow. And we actually had to print more pieces for them because some of the pieces failed and stuff like that. But those are going to go out. And, update on the Australian packages. The big box came back to us. So we're going to have to...
No,
I don't think we had to pay extra shipping, but I'm not sure why it did. But we're going to send that back out again tomorrow for those.
that's good. You didn't have to pay shipping twice. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, I don't think so. So Brandon didn't seem too pissed when they came back to the office. But yeah, so everything else that's like outside of the Australia, and I think other than 2, I have 1 Canadian that has to go out, and then another person that had a statue. Everything else is out. But message me, give us a shout out, let us know how you dug the book, and do reviews if you guys are reviewing. But yeah, we're trying to hit 43. That would be amazing before we close. But yeah, thank you guys for supporting. And we're doing the next book super quick. So we're trying to hit by the end of July. We'll have the next campaign up, which is our crossover with Adam Lawson, which I'm so super excited about. We just sent 3 pages in to get colored for the campaign, so we'll have some color stuff on there as well.
Who's drawing that one?
So Juan Gideon, who I actually met this past weekend at Heroes Con, he drew it. It's 60 pages, and it just needs to be colored and lettered. We're doing a first chapter kind of like preview ash can that's gonna be super low run foil cover, like Adam's been doing with his Jawbone Death and his Kill Journal dossier books. They're gonna be hand numbered as well, and I think we're gonna be able to pull this off, but those special ones are gonna be signed by all 3 of us. So Adam, Juan, and myself gonna be signing those. And we're going to sell those online. and we're going to have them in hand in a couple of days. So the turnaround on those are going to be super quick if we can sell out of those, and then we can launch the full story campaign, which will be a full colored. It's going to be badass.
Cool. That's
Cool.
And
awesome.
that's actually a horror story too.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
I like that. Yeah, I met Juan too. That was cool.
Yeah, he's a super cool dude.
Yay. I met everybody. It was awesome. I was like,
It was-
you work with Phil?
It was so
It was
weird.
funny. He was.
What were you saying?
Oh no, I was just remarking. It was strange that everyone kind of. It's like there are pockets of comic artists that know each other, but there's overlap. It's like you work with Juan, but I met him through some other people I knew that I was hanging out with, and I'm like, he introduced himself, and I'm like, wait a minute, you work with Phil Diaz, and then they were also there. It was great.
Yeah, it was, and then the whole Way Shack thing, and it was so funny. And where I was with at Joe's table, it was right behind Bisley, and then Bisley was like right across the aisle from Juan. So it was like so weird that everything fell into place like that. It was very funny. It's cool.
Yeah, badass. You know, Rini and Jake, you guys being sick, I decided I don't have FOMO now. 'Cause you guys are too sick.
I guess Vaughn's
That's just
sick,
me
too.
though. No, I get con crud about like half the time. It's because I don't leave the house, so my immune system is like stunted. So I'm not a good barometer. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm
if
looking
you're,
at
if
all
you're
the
a
time.
normal
So.
human being, you're not gonna beat me.
Well, Jake too. Jake's not even from this country, so his immunity, he gets, he has immunity against hedgehogs, which run rampant in his country, but not.
I'm only
the common
immune to
squirrel.
British viruses. I come
Yeah.
over here, it's all foreign mumbo jumbo. I'm susceptible.
Oh, yeah.
That's
No,
like
I just power through it. I'm like, I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna keep doing shit. Whatever.
Yep, I'm
Yeah.
completely
Don't stop me.
ignoring that I even have it.
That's what you have to do. I was saying when I usually go to big conventions, sometimes I'll get sick. Like after Exotica, my brother got sick, and I think he got me sick. But if I go to like a fan expo or C2E2, usually the amount of like artificial air and air conditioning in there dries the hell out of my lips, and I look like I'm wearing lipstick, and it's like super annoying. And I'm constantly drinking
Definitely
water.
the air conditioning, right? That's why
Yeah,
it looks
it's
like
not-
you're wearing lipstick.
The lipstick that I wear sometimes. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Even when I get sick, the peaks of my lips up here, it seems like they get taller. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if that happens to anybody else. But this time at Heroes Con, I didn't even get that lip dryness.
You
And
did
you're
get kissy
towering over
face.
everyone else.
Moisturized lips.
It's probably because
Yeah.
I was making out with Joe so much.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
guess
make out with
so.
anyone, it
His
should be
lips.
Joe.
Yes.
Very confused. Lesson learned: make out with Joe at conventions to not get sick.
Yeah, that's the key.
Joe is the
I got sick at almost
co-stalker.
every show. I got sick
Patient
after
zero.
Tampa. It sucked so much. I was usually it's just a mild cold. Like this is fine. I just sound bad, but I feel okay. At like Tokyo Comic Con a few years ago, it was really bad. I was actually having a fever, and I continued doing the show because it's a long, like week-long show, and it was so bad. One of the days, I had no voice, and it sucked because some artists I like came over to meet me. I met Gurihiru, and I couldn't even say anything. It was the
Yeah.
worst. Ugh.
That's in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Tokyo Comic Con is it's an American style show, but in Tokyo. So
What do
you know
they
how
pay
Japan
you
has
in?
Comicats, huh?
What do they pay you in?
Yen.
Yen?
It's
Oh,
in
and
then
Japan.
what do you do at the end?
You convert it
You
to
find a
American money at the
translator.
airport, or you find a currency exchange.
Hey,
Have you
Rini,
been out of the country, Phil?
Okay, no, I've never been.
I had to convert all of
Should go.
the old Roman gold coins that we all use in England over to silly American paper money when I came here. So
Yeah. Keep trashing on our
Amazing.
money. Tokyo Comic Con's a good show, though, guys.
Nice.
I enjoy it. It's kind of far, obviously, but it's a really good show.
B Spin says your old lady smoker's voice is an improvement.
I've seen a
People
lot of
said
people
they
say that.
like it. Like,
Maybe
do I sound like I have more gravitas versus my normal baby voice where I sound 12?
Dojo
Yeah, I
Kun,
I'll just...
or not
Maybe it's
Dojo
because
Kun,
you
Mike
also sound
Kun.
so annoyed that you're ill too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll permanently fuck up my voice, so I'll just sound like this.
I'd say your voice
Get
now.
off my lawn!
I'd say your voice now sounds a more ornate, you know, than before,
Yeah.
and that's why.
Can we
like
get the meme, please? Fuck off.
I
Let's end the stream.
don't see
Yeah.
Alex in the chat. I wonder if he's gone.
He said give him a second. So
Okay.
We've
Maybe
got
it
stuff
might
to
be
pull up. You pulled Phil's thing up.
FK says
Yeah,
I
pop
sound
it
like a
up.
woman now versus a 12-year-old child. That's disturbing.
Yeah.
That people think I only now sound like a woman.
Yeah, Jake, is your
I'll pull it up.
campaign still going?
It is, yeah.
Let's look at that real fast.
Cool. Thank you, Phil. I can't send a link right now. But yeah, no, Connell's still up. We got like one backer during the show too, which has been awesome.
Tonight?
Say again.
Tonight?
Oh
no, you're saying
I meant
the con,
the
right?
Convention. Womp womp. But yes, we're up to 23. Thank you to everyone that's checked it out so far. Everyone who's backed. I found out today that the auction 69 got there. So they have there, and I did an original art piece too. And like, I
Nice.
can't pull it up right now, but maybe I'll be able to pull it up on next week. But yeah, this is my preview book for Connell the Barbarian. It had a lot of people laugh in at the show. It was great seeing people open it up and just basically just their face lights up. There were even people who would read it. They'd open it, and I'm like, oh god, they're gonna see the terrible things on the first few pages, and what face are they gonna do? And they smile, and these people look like the sweetest, nicest people, like men and women, like. And I'm like, are they gonna freak out? But no, they actually liked it. I'm like, okay, fine, maybe I'm onto something. So yeah, this is a 64-page preview art book. It has rough penciled preview pages, lettered, you can read. It's got some layouts, character designs, a bunch of concept art, and there's either a keychain and some hats. And it's also got a whole fan art section. Phil's got a piece in there. Irene's got a piece in there. And I bet no one got people to sign the fan art pages at the show. Seeing as two of you were there, they could have done that.
No one.
But they did you sign your page for anyone, Phil?
No, I should have got Mike Rushbrook to sign his pieces.
There you go. But yeah, so it will, if you get this, it is also something you could take to future conventions to get people to sign.
Mm-hmm.
So take a look. I can't tell you to go to a URL right now because they're both broken.
I'll post the link in the chat.
But yeah, so I know these campaigns get left open for ages, and people leave them in demand and stuff. I'm genuinely thinking about closing this after 30 days and it actually being the close. So I can get 16 days left, so I can actually just get these out to people. I'll obviously have some left, but I could like include them as an add-on later for a much higher price. But yeah, if you want this, if you want the bundles, all the bundles have pretty good discounts. You should get them. Get the double deal. There's 7 left of those. But yeah, so
Yeah, go grab this, people, if you haven't.
Cool. Yeah.
It even has all the original like sketch card designs I did that were like the first drawings of a lot of the characters.
Yeah, it's on my favorite page in there. It's awesome, and it's cool too because a lot of it is like the layouts and stuff, black and white. Or not black and white, but blue and white and stuff. But then when you get to the page that has the color on it, that color just pops so much of like the chicks with the magic.
The orange came out so vibrant on all of the blocks. All the blocks oranges is like day glow orange in the book. It's great. But yeah. As soon
The
as you get to the
printing
color
is
page,
really good.
Yeah,
Like the design of the book and the printing are both really good.
Yeah, my aim was like old school 90s sticker book aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you nailed it, dude. Kick ass.
But yeah, I think I'm going to close it at the end of the 30 maybe. And then the people who got the throw-in packages, you'll be able to pick your cards. And I'll be able to start sending these out because I want to get these in people's hands because people picked them up at the convention. I sold like half the books I took. Oh God, I've got to draw all those sketches in the back of the freaking box. Oh my, Alex VRB has like 11 of them.
Oh yeah.
It's like I was thinking maybe people would be okay if I just had like 3 different ones and cycled through them. God damn it.
Yeah, good job, Jake.
Okay, I'm gonna have fun drawing a lot of different drawings, but yeah, it's the first book. I think it would be fun to draw something unique in each one. I will not do it again. I will definitely not do a free sign-up bonus being the original drawing in the back. But the thing is, it's the first book I'm doing, and anyone who's backing this right now, that's you get that. That's the thank you for actually getting in on it early. So yeah, thank you.
Go get it.
Get it? This book will be worth $1 million. Also, this one will be worth $1 million in the future. Check this out. This is obviously fiendishcomic.com, the website and central hub for my comic Fiendish. We don't have a live campaign right now, but that doesn't mean you can't get a book, because if you hit the shop tab, all the books that are out now are available right there. We ship out batches like every week or two. So I have the books are all printed, and these are the permanent edition covers. They're all with RJ, my fulfillment guy. So every couple weeks, I just look at how many orders we have, ship them all out, and you can bundle the books with some of our other merch. We have wall art, standees, all kinds of other stuff like apparel, and I added a couple new posters and stuff. But like, there's also that Skull Shield pin that I do have now that I'm going to be shipping out. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Man, it feels really good to have I don't know how to put it, but the last few times I've been doing conventions, I've been slowly filtering out my older work, like let's see, like my table had been, well, it's Marvel stuff, and then indie stuff, and like my prints, and just a little bit of Fiendish, because I had one Fiendish book out, and I had a preview book and some prints. But now I actually had 3 books, and so much of my layout was about Fiendish, and I feel like this has really properly grown into a project that I feel like in my mind it's always had a presence, but it's become real. Like, there's so much surrounding it. There's a proper team, and I'm just really grateful for that this is like a whole functional operation. Mostly functional. So yeah, check it out. Even though we don't have an active campaign, that doesn't mean stuff isn't happening. You can also check out the blog, which I do update, and you can become a subscriber, or you can become a pass holder, which is kind of like a Patreon thing. So here I posted rough for a trade paperback version that will be coming out next year. So while I'm working on chapter 3, I am also juggling a few other little surprises in the background, including translations and a trade paperback. So because for me, my goal isn't just about, well, we're going to make more books of Fiendish. Of course, that's what I'm working on. I'm working on Fiendish 3 right now, but expanding, getting on larger platforms, and hopefully getting into stores is what I'm eyeing, and I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. So follow Fiendish here, sign up for the email list, and subscribe to the blog so you don't miss out on anything. And thank you to everyone who came out to Heroes. You guys are all awesome. I really appreciate it. That was tons of fun.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Looks great.
Do you still have the oh wait, Karin.
Guess what?
You got the meme. Hey,
what is this?
I already feel like this is the best meme he's ever
might
done.
be, yeah.
I haven't even looked at it yet.
Simple meme.
Okay, let's start going through it.
I have to zoom way in. That's crazy.
It was
Okay.
the
What is
books.
happening?
It started with the books. The Tolkien.
And
Okay,
two.
which way do we go?
Don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I don't even
Oh
know
my
what I'm
God.
saying anymore. Now I do have FOMO. I'm mad that we had this conversation.
I like how the line is just going through Narwhal's eyes. It's slightly disturbing.
Yeah. Body horror. N2. N2. N4. Guns. N3. Can we get that meme,
I can't
please?
tell if
End
these are
this
clues
stream.
or if it's an AI fever dream.
That's your quote, Reedy. Want to read that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah. I just hold on. Can we get that meme, please? End the stream. My God. That's me.
12th of May, N4.
Alex said this concept came to him late in the show. It
I
looks
always
great.
love coming late to the
Oh
show.
my god! Look at that expression. No, that's like a dirty, hairy expression that I'm doing right there.
Yeah. But I
What's that
feel the
say?
only one that isn't like looking a bit awkward.
Face covered.
Their
Let that
face
be a
covered,
lesson to you about gambling. That was the
Yeah.
quote of the night.
Explore one thing, multiple angles. There's
Yeah. Saying.
That's a great tip.
also
Mhm.
metaphors, pitches.
Bitches. Did you see Jaws at the bottom? Was that Jaws down there?
Yeah, murder in warehouse. The body was found in wreckage.
Wow.
And then this is like The Ring or something, some horror thing. And
What is that?
7.
Looks like Norman Reedus.
Yeah, and this is Jake.
Who's Jake?
Here's some more horror stuff. Murder with like an ice pick or something.
What's Jake say?
I say it doesn't suck too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then
I
here's
feel
the
like
entire presentation.
Jake's been extra tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Really? Jake's been in a good mood.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a little
What does that
randy.
mean?
It's a little randy tonight.
Has he? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what do the red lines lead somewhere. You know what? I'm overthinking it.
No. Look, it's really simple. You've got the map, and then you have the different areas on the map, but like in different photos. It's the same place from different angles.
Yeah.
Okay.
It all connects.
I guess.
Okay.
You know, Moromi says this
because
is no
he
Pepe
said
Sylvia.
on the main map it says explore one thing from different angles. So he has the city and then all the places in the city.
Wow.
Yeah. I see.
Let that be a lesson to you about gambling.
I love how
Brilliant.
the red line goes directly across Narwhal's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And isn't that a dehumanizing storytelling technique of like covering eyes?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like
It's
serial
often-
killers
it's a
do
good
that.
horror technique. Yeah.
They'll cut your
Yeah,
eyes
they've
out
targeted me.
to
They're
humanize
marked.
you.
It was nice knowing you, Narwhal.
That's it.
So I don't know. I don't
thought it
know if
was
this
really
one has
indicating
any
they don't have a
codes that we're
soul.
missing. I don't think it has codes we're missing. I'm not sure.
I don't think
Well, no,
so.
like-
And
It's
if
all
it is,
so
I'm too
simple.
stupid to figure it out. So
I think that's it.
It's great though. It's a lot of fun to go through and look at and see all this stuff.
Irene, what
Yeah.
were you drinking in that photo?
it's orange juice. It's
Orange
vitamin
juice.
C.
Is there anything else in that orange juice?
No, it's fucking orange juice.
All right. All right.
What do you think? I've got my vodka mixed with my bottled orange juice or something? It's
I've,
That is something people
it's
do.
Because
Tropicana.
people do that,
Okay,
you know?
listen. I'm not. My problems are not that bad yet. They will be soon, but they're not that bad.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
thank you
Alex,
very
that's
much,
great.
Alex.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, well done. No, never mind.
He left out Lou though. I feel like maybe Lou's the one that was making this this board. The boats though, because remember you had the story about the guy stealing the boat to get the fish.
Oh yeah. And
Oh,
Jaws has
yeah.
boats. There's a little boat theme, some thematics.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good job,
wonder-
Alex, on making one of the most complicated memes on the episode named Simplicity. I think the meme might be the antithesis of the topic, which is expert tier rebellion.
I think that's great. I mean, it was ironic that Narwhal's presentation was also it was deceptive. It was like the most complex
Yeah.
one-page PowerPoint. So
Yeah, it took us like an hour to go through it or something.
Yeah, I'm glad it was one page though.
Me too.
Yeah, the last few I've done have been one pagers, just the long bullet notes.
It's good.
Yeah,
simple. Keep it simple, guys.
yeah. Cool. Well, we can kind of start wrapping up. Like maybe we'll end the stream here.
Yeah, well, before we
all right,
do,
sounds
I
good.
do want to say thank you to Jason Bascom Unhinged in the chat for backing Connell. We did just get
Hey.
another backer. I didn't know if you
Oh,
still
yeah.
had it up, so I didn't want to say refresh.
Nice.
But yeah, we're up to 24 backers now. Thank you very much. Everyone else
Hey.
should copy him.
That's
Yo,
the
Jason.
Narwhal Nuge. It happened here, people. I take credit.
I got nooged.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Nice.
Thanks.
Well
It's
done.
similar to a body slam chokehold, the Nuge. Special move.
The ultimate.
Bloooock.
Tune in tomorrow. We'll be doing the Diaz Brothers show at 7:30 Eastern time, and yeah, have a good
You
night.
might have a guest.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a guest. Maybe we won't. Tune in.
I
to
don't
see.
know if I'm streaming tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter to look for announcements. I have no idea what's happening.
Cool.
Hope you guys
Well, see
enjoyed
you guys
this,
next week.
this very rundown Concord show. I think we'll be back to full form next week. So,
I make no promises. But,
okay.
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Get better. Yeah, I hope you guys get
Thank
better
you.
next week.
Give me your amazing immune system. Tell me what vitamins you take.
I should drink
Oh,
water.
we can listen to the song because it plays on the Phil thing. I have the video, so I'll play that out. We can hear the crescendo. You guys
Alright.
ready? See, this is a real banger. I had no idea. I gotta work to this. Just throw it on in the background. See, this is like really hitting.
I think people will be very confused because this is the starting soon one.
Yeah.
Starting
it was-
soon. The end.
ignore the pictures. Just listen to the music. Let it flow. Oh, listen to that.
Camel asks, is this the Batman theme? I don't think so.
Did you say Batman?
Yeah. No, I said bad.
This is the Your Dad's Not Coming Back
Oh my god.
See, this is the part I never heard before. Like, so epic.
theme. It's the same notes, but just pressing harder.
Da 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 da. It's slowly dying.
Definitely the music you want playing when the show's ending. This doesn't mean the show's dead at all.
This
Yeah,
bodes well for our show going forward.
it's so beautiful. Life changing.
Narwhal likes watching things die. It is a good song, though. On that note,
Bye.
Bye.